Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Night Owl, a show that we do twice a week where we talk about all the latest in pop culture, news, in TV and movie reviews, and gaming news, and just all the topics and discussions of the day. I'm Price of Reason, and as usual, I have my co host here with me, Professor R2. How's it going, Professor?
Doing all right. Voice is a little rough today. I think I might be coming down with a cold, but I'm gonna do what I can, and we're gonna hang out and talk about some interesting stuff going on in the news today.
Definitely. Yeah, it feel like we've been saying a lot that there's so much news every second. There's so many things happening, so many at a crazy pace, so many things happening that it's always just there's just no shortage of surprises. We live in a very kind of strange timeline, I guess, but definitely not boring, and definitely
Oh
leaves
no, no, not boring, not boring at all.
definitely leaves us with a lot of things to discuss. So yeah, I guess. Let's kind of look at the things that are going on. I think that the thing that everybody's been talking about the past few days, and it's sort of like the gift that keeps on giving. This whole USAID situation.
Oh
I
yes.
guess Trump put Elon Musk in charge. Initially, it was Elon and Vivek, but Vivek kind of stepped down from that whole Doge thing.
Yeah, I think he's kind of wanted to spend more time focusing on. Apparently, he's going to be running for office in another state. I think Ohio, maybe.
I
So
also,
yeah.
although it's not discussed and they said it's all on good terms, I feel like he and Elon didn't see eye to eye
Well,
on
that's
how.
entirely possible too. Those are a couple of big personalities, and
I
that
agree.
tends to happen.
I agree. It's very difficult to put two people, with very kind of strong personalities and say, well, you're both in charge of this thing. And I think that one of the reasons maybe Vivek kind of backed down is because this is just my impression that the way Elon is working here, there's a lot of technology and a lot of technical stuff, how he's combing through all these files and all these things. And I think that he just wanted to do it his way with his team. And maybe it kind of makes sense. If they're searching for certain money, they're doing stuff that's very technical. Maybe that's not Vivek's speciality.
Could be,
That's what
could
I
be.
understood between the lines. I don't have anything against the guy. I'm just saying that,
No,
like,
no.
initially it was both of them, and then kind of just stayed with Elon Musk. And I've seen that a lot of these kind of people that don't want the U.S. aid shut down, they're basically saying, well, Elon Musk, nobody elected him. But the truth
Mhm.
is, if I'm not mistaken, and I could be wrong, you could correct me. I think that what Trump did is he took actually an office called the U.S. Digital something, and he just changed the name of it to United States Doge. There was like a name change for an existing department. I guess what I'm saying is, even though they're claiming that what he's doing is illegal or he's not allowed to do it, I actually think that what he did, he set it up in a way that is legal, if I'm not mistaken.
Well, I mean, even then, if even if it wasn't like a pre-existing department or something like that, it could simply be an initiative started by the president with the authority of the president to go in and look into various different things happening in agencies that he, as the executive, has control over. So there's just a wild there's this thing say, okay, well, who appointed you? I mean, no one elected you. Well, no one elected the CIA. No one elected USAID. No one elected
Right.
a bunch of departments, right? They're all appointed, and many of them do serve, as they say, at the pleasure of the president. So, as the executive and being in charge of the U.S. government, he actually has a lot of latitude, especially under what they call Schedule F, that you can terminate people. You can get rid of them. And a lot of people have been saying, well, you're not supposed to get rid of, you can't get rid of USAID because it's created by the Congress and whatever. And actually, as of today, they said, well, we're not actually getting rid of it, but we're going to eliminate it. There's like several thousand positions or something, and they're going to eliminate all but a few hundred of them. And they're even, to my knowledge, they are being helped by some people who worked in that area, worked for that, for USAID, to help uncover a bunch of the stuff that happened there. And there's so it's not all just them like knocking down the door and saying, give us your data. There is some assistance that's coming from some people, and yes, it's a temporary organization that's been set up, uh, by the president, and it's not a cabinet level thing. It's just a group that's has the goal of going in and modernizing technology, and getting rid of government waste, making it more efficient. And they've certainly found quite a few interesting ways that money seems to have been spent in recent years. Did you see the stories about all the money that's been going to different journalistic agencies?
I mean,
Did
that's been a big thing. Politico got like $8 million or something, at
It was more
least
than that.
more,
It
maybe
was
16 actually, from
Yeah, it
all
was
the
close to like
branches of
16.
government.
Yeah.
That is a lot of money to give some two-bit,
Yep.
quote unquote journalism thing. And at the end, uh, you know, there's no way to separate that kind of money that's key for this whole organization to run. And then when you look at the type of reporting they do and how favorable they were to one side and the kind of thing they were pushing, it's really hard not to connect between these things and think, wow, this isn't even just some donors that donated something. This is a situation where it's as if they used taxpayer money to go into these things so they could then print positive things about a certain party. That really, it's in our day and age, it's like nobody even cares about anything. But I actually think that it's a legitimate scandal of sorts.
It absolutely is. If When you look at, uh, as we believe that there's been some reporting that uh, through some of these agencies, including USAID, there was upwards of $40 million going to the New York Times. That's that's insane. That's like that's basically government owned media at that point. And all of that money started in 2021 after Biden took office.
It's
It's
really
wild.
crazy. Yeah, I think that there should be safeguards that such things don't happen this way. I don't think that this is a good setup. It's not a healthy situation. And as far there's one thing that I've seen that people are saying, the whole time Trump said that if he's elected, he's going to appoint Elon Musk to do this. He then at the time said Elon and Vivek, but it ended up just Elon. But he said that he would do it. So the people that voted for him, I think, knew that that's what he said he was going to do, and he's doing what he said. So
Absolutely.
I don't think that the people that, from what I can tell, also the comments online, I see that most of the time. Sometimes I see somebody's like, "Oh, what do all these MAGA people think now? Like, are they happy with what happened?" Like, and then most people just respond to those kind of posts with, "Yeah, that's what I voted for." I've seen that like all day on Twitter. People are like, "Yeah, sure, this is what I voted for. This is happening just the way he said it would." Now, I will say this: when it comes to making the government more efficient, I don't think that's a bad thing. I will say this though, and I'm going to surprise you maybe with my thoughts here. Elon Musk, though, still, he is given not only with this USA thing. The thing that occurred to me that recently there were few elections in places outside the U.S. that he kind of was weighing in on, and I'm thinking to myself, you know, I know he's very rich and very influential, but at the end of the day, he does have a lot of power to suddenly
Mhm.
lean in on some election. I don't know. I mean, it's a lot of power for one man to have. It kind of something that crossed my mind. I don't know if that's good or bad, but
Yeah,
I did think about it. But as it pertains to this USA thing and whatever he's doing with Doge, I think that's perfectly fine.
yeah.
It's more when I look abroad and I see him kind of trying to sort of tipping the scales in other elections that I kind of feel like, wow, that's a lot of influence.
Yeah. Yeah, and you know what? I That's perfectly healthy. It's healthy to be skeptical. It's healthy to kind of check some of your assumptions and look at this and say, well, hey, I love, something that he's doing, but maybe that doesn't mean that everything he's doing is awesome,
Right,
right?
right.
Maybe not. Maybe I don't just rubber stamp everything he's doing. Maybe just because something over here is working well doesn't mean that he's
The reason I
always in
the
the
reason I
right.
say that, it's more of just like I'm zooming out. It's not only
Sure,
pinpointing him specifically, but just saying, you know, sometimes you have to make sure that there's somebody with a lot of power. You know, it is worth pointing out. I'll give you an example. When he said something about a video game, and some people said something he didn't like about a video game, uh, some of these people like either I think maybe he returned the check mark, but you know what I'm trying to say. Suddenly, a few weird things happened because somebody annoyed him with some video game. You could see that even though he's doing some good things, it doesn't mean he's a perfect person. You know what I mean? He's a human
absolutely.
being at the end. Uh, Putting aside even the fact, you know, on the spectrum and all that, but I'm saying like he's a human being. uh, Even a human being could do something irrational, or you know, lash out, or you know, do something hasty. So when somebody has so much power, it's just something to kind of take into consideration. It's just a weird feeling that I had just when I saw, like, when I realized just how much power that he has. But specifically when it comes to the Doge and that thing, I think that that's fine. You know what I mean? Somebody has to
Yeah.
do that work. He
Absolutely,
did.
and it's not as if he's doing it all on his own, or that there's no oversight or no team there, right? He's been pulling in a whole bunch of different people, and that doesn't mean any of them might not have any particular agendas or anything, but honestly, what have they done so far that other than piss off a lot of Democrats who think that they should get to spend money any way they want for whatever they want? They think that this agency, which is ostensibly supposed to be out there as the agency for international development, helping to support countries and support initiatives that help spread American culture and our influence in other countries, but instead they're out there dropping $20 million to try and make a Sesame Street show in Iraq.
That
They're
was
out there
crazy.
dropping
Yeah.
$50 million to boost tourism in Tunisia. They're throwing $45 million behind diversity and inclusion scholarships in Myanmar. What? What?
Indie Phantom says that Elon Musk did have a three-way with Amber Heard, so he's not perfect.
Yeah.
I mean, the fact that he was even associated with her was not good, and he himself tries to kind of sweep that under the carpet. Yeah, I
Oh,
mean,
yeah.
all I'm
What
saying
was the
is
other
he's
one I
not
saw? There was
perfect.
something like it was like
I'm not
$40
necessarily.
million that was being spent to provide uh, AIDS medication for transsexual prostitutes in South Africa.
That's
If I
crazy.
remember that all correct. So 40 million. How much do you think of that actually went to helping those individuals? Which, I mean, would seem like that could help an awful lot of people. I didn't know there were that many transformer uh, prostitutes in South Africa. But how much do you think actually ended up there?
Well, that's the thing, is that a lot of times I think that this money, they're like, we're sending millions here, we're sending millions there, and you really wonder if even those people that they supposedly sent it to, they really got it. And some of these things are so kind of bonkers and strange. It's like, let's put together like an LG play in Peru or something like that. Here's millions of dollars. Who is
Yeah,
going to put together some play there? They probably went to there's probably a few people in some jungle doing like lines together. You know what I mean? Like, I don't think
exactly.
anybody. I
Well,
I don't think that they put together no play in the jungles of Peru. You know what I mean?
so genuinely, what has been coming up time and again at this point in a lot of what they've been uncovering is that a huge amount of this money that was being donated to some of these different groups would get shuffled off. They'd get 40 million would get shuffled off to this one group, and they'd take their administrative stuff off the top. So, we're going to keep the 4 million here for our administrative costs. And then they would shuffle that off to another group. That group would take its 4 or 5 million off the top. And then it would get sent out to these other little groups that would distribute it. And it's almost untraceable at that point, like where it actually ended up.
This
And
whole thing feels like a big scheme. This
it
whole
is.
thing just
It
feels like such a
absolutely is.
so many people got paid from this thing, and nobody even knows for what they're getting paid. It's really, I know that the Democrats and even like the more legacy media are doing everything desperately to say, "Oh, look, it's bad. Why did he let Elon do this? Why did he let Elon do this?" But I think that most of them aren't answering what happened to the money. You know what I mean? Like, it's strange that they're more focused on why this is being investigated versus on what happened with all of these millions. You know what I mean? And it's very telling that these kind of legacy media, some of the, like you said, the New York Times, like Politico, who else got money from these, organizations? And we've been wondering why they've been so biased and all this stuff over the years, and now we kind of understand why.
Hmm. They were
Uh,
getting an awful lot of money.
Istafoglu says
Uh,
every billionaire has that kind of power. At least he wields his influence, I guess, in the open. That's what he meant. Yeah, I mean, I understand that, but all I was just trying to say is that the fact that there are certain things that maybe he does that I think are good, it doesn't mean that that's like an umbrella that nobody can make mistakes. And a person that has all like the most money in the world and has that kind of influence, you can only hope that would continue to do things that are serve the interests, but nobody's perfect. That's all I'm saying.
hmm. Yeah.
Like people said, he went out with Amber Heard. That's not that was a mistake. And yeah, and really, I mean, I don't care that he paid people to use his account for gaming, but for some reason that he wouldn't admit to that was kind of weird.
Yeah. Little. Yeah. Little strange.
Istafobos said they sent money to Disney, to CBS, to New York Times. I believe all of it. I mean, I believe all of it. And I guess now they're trying to do like an impeachment, right? They're trying to. I don't understand on what grounds they're trying to impeach him because he investigated the USAID.
Oh no, it's one representative from Texas. If I remember, do I have something here? Um, because I saw a video of it earlier today, and it's almost hilarious. Uh, he's primarily wanting to impeach him over the statements that he made about Gaza. Wanting to go in and take over Gaza.
This is just my instinct, and I could be wrong on it. I am not sure that he really fully is serious about what he said. If I had to give my impression, and this is just my own opinion, you know, I'm not saying that there couldn't be other opinions, or I'm not saying that my opinion is correct. I think that initially he was expecting like places like countries like Saudi Arabia, Egypt, a few people to kind of share the load there and to put in some work in doing something with that region. And I feel like those guys, they weren't gung ho on doing it. And once he saw that, he said, "Okay, great, I'll do it." Now, I don't know if he really wants to do it as much as maybe he thinks that by saying, "I'm putting my foot down, I'm doing this," maybe some of these other partners that didn't show up or were trying to, kind of not going with the flow, maybe they'll come back and say, "You know what? We'll do it." That's what I was thinking that he was doing. Kind of like with the tariffs with Canada and Mexico. That I, I mean, he really did sign those tariffs, and I mean, he's like, "Fine, we'll do it. Screw it, we'll do these tariffs." And the same thing maybe there. He's saying, "Yeah, fine, I'll take over." But I have a feeling that there's an underlying reason of why he said it, and I don't necessarily know that tomorrow morning he's actually going to do that.
No, I that's it's kind of silly. If he's actually tried to clarify some of those comments to say that, oh, we're not saying we're going to send in troops and like take it over. What we're saying is that, once we are able to resettle all of the Palestinians somewhere, then Israel's just going to turn it over to us. And then we'll move in and start, cleaning it up and developing it and stuff, which realistically, that's a long, long way off, because there's nobody to take those Palestinians. Literally, There's a reason they had such a refugee crisis. No one wanted their refugees because they don't want Hamas showing up in
Right.
their
I mean,
country.
I think that the part, and this is many years of a lot of issues that we're building up there, is that Egypt very well knew for many years what was going on there. I mean, there was also a situation where at some point, it was under Egyptian control. They know very well the type of people that are in this region, and they knew very well why they don't want them. They themselves built their own wall, and they wouldn't let them in. They 100% have their certain. As much as like anytime there's like a crisis, Egypt will come out and say all this stuff. You think that they actually care about them. In reality, Egypt wants nothing to do with them. That's the truth. And
Oh, it's absolutely the truth. No, nobody wants
nobody
to take
also
them in. They do not want to take them in because they know that they're troublemakers. They know that they're going to start fights. They know that they're going to continue their aggression, and they're going to be
it,
nothing but a mess to try and
it,
handle. So yeah, they don't
it,
want anything to do with them.
it's like a culture of this kind of radical violence, and it's deeply rooted there within that culture. And I think that they know better than anybody what is going on there. If anybody knows, it's them. They speak the language, they understand the mentality, they understand exactly. It's kind of like, even when you look at Russians and Ukraine, a lot of times I say to myself, these guys, they speak the same language, some of them are the same families, they used to be the same land. That's why when that kind of stuff happens, I don't exactly know how to feel, because I feel like they know each other better than I know them, if you understand what I'm trying to say. And the same
Yes.
thing with Egypt and those Palestinians. Trust me, they understand it very well. And that's why, like, they've been doing everything for so long to just shake any kind of responsibility. They don't want anything to do with them. Same with like Saudi Arabia. They're like, oh, why don't you take millions of them, put them here? They're like, here, you want to put them here? This
Yeah.
isn't, so it becomes sort of a game of hypocrisy, because on one hand, all these people are like, oh, look at Israel this, look at Israel that. On the other hand, for many decades, nobody wants anything to do with those people. They'll go and they'll say, it sounds cool to say, yeah, like, we don't like Israel, we with these Palestinians, yes, yes, like they pretend that you like them, these other kind of countries. But at the end, the very thought of them doing anything for them is like a non-starter. So, yeah, I mean, there's hypocrisy everywhere, and I guess, there's hypocrisy in the Middle East as well.
Mm-hmm.
S
Yeah.
I just thought that Trump was kind of trying to sort of create waves within this hypocrisy. Meaning, if he says something like that, how will the people that are pretending to care but don't really care, what's gonna be their move? And maybe it'll be nothing. I'm curious to see, but at the same at the same time, it seems like almost like a ruffling of feathers. That's my interpretation. I could be wrong, but that's what I thought.
Yep. There's a whole bunch of stuff that he says. I think there's two things that I think you always have to keep in mind when you're listening to him talk. And that is, one, he kind of sees himself as a stand-up comedian. He thinks he's funny, and he's a lot of times he's joking. And the other thing is, you have to really consider what his motivation is behind that, because often he's trying to make a deal. So how is he
Right.
trying to position himself to make some kind of deal for what's going on over there? Is he saying, is he trying to maybe help broker something to help some of these countries take in the refugees from Gaza in something that they wouldn't normally agree to, but he's trying to sort of manipulate things a little bit, put ideas in people's heads, maybe make something sound more reasonable than maybe it sounded before. Even just jogging people out of being complacent about how things currently are, right? Uh, we saw the tariffs. Everyone was throwing their hands up about the tariffs. What did he want? He wanted them to agree to help secure the border a little bit better.
Right, right, and
And
he
and
they
that was
immediately.
and that was the deal he was making.
Right, and they started running. The second he signed those things, they started running,
Yeah.
and he placed it on
Yeah.
pause. I felt that he was trying to do something similar with his Gaza situation. We'll see over time what he meant, but when he said it, I know some people were all like, or at least some people were having like meltdowns. And I say that not even only like exclusive to Democrats. I saw like a lot of people on Twitter. How dare you this? How dare you that? It's like, First of all, he said something. I didn't envision that tomorrow morning is going to actually go do anything. I think that he said it, and there was
Price comes
probably a
back.
reason why he was saying it. A reason that is not like obvious to us. Something from the behind the scenes, wheeling and dealing, whatever he's doing. In his mind, I think he thought to himself, "I got to say this now, so people know what my intentions are." But we don't know what that whole thing hasn't played out yet, in my opinion. Yeah, I mean, it's the Phobos says that he felt that he went completely off script, and the funniest thing was to see Netanyahu's face when he was talking. I feel like Netanyahu was kind of surprised by all of this. Trump is Trump. He just said what he said.
He is.
He sometimes he does that, and I think I would take it with a grain of salt. I don't envision that tomorrow morning he's going and building a country club.
No.
Or
No, no,
whatever
no, no.
people.
That's
I
not
don't. I
happening.
don't think that's going to happen tomorrow morning. So it is what it is.
So I do have that. I do have the video there of Al Green and his trying to bring articles of impeachment literally 16 days into the presidency.
Yeah.
If you want to share it,
Oh,
you
okay.
have
Yeah. Let me
to
do
put
that.
it on presentation there.
Sure.
Yep. So here's just a quick video.
And still I rise, Mr. Speaker. And I rise today, Mr. Speaker, with a to whom it may concern message. To whom it may concern, ethnic cleansing in Gaza is not a joke, especially when it emanates from the President of the United States, the most powerful person in the world, when he has the ability to perfect what he says. Ethnic cleansing in Gaza is no joke, and the Prime Minister of Israel should be ashamed, knowing the history of his people, to stand there and allow such things to be said.
When did he propose ethnic cleansing?
He didn't propose anything. I think that this guy is just I don't think this is going to go anywhere. But go on.
No, it's not going to go anywhere. No, dastardly deeds. That's what he said.
Ethnic cleansing has been a crime against humanity. And I stand here today in the well to denounce what was said, to denounce what the president said, to denounce the complicity of the Prime Minister of Israel, and to remind people that Dr. King was right. Injustice anywhere is a threat to justice everywhere. And injustice in Gaza is a threat to justice in the United States of America. I rise to announce that the movement to impeach the president has begun. I rise to announce that I will bring articles of impeachment against the president for dastardly deeds proposed and dastardly deeds done. I also rise to say that the impeachment movement is going to be a grass-up movement, not a top-down.
Grass up.
The people have got to move forward. The people have to demand it. And when the people demand it, it will be done. I did it before. I laid the foundation for impeachment, and it was done. Nobody knows more about it than I. And I know that it's time for us to lay the foundation again. On some issues, it is better to stand alone than not stand at all. On this issue, I stand alone, but I stand for justice. I yield back the balance of my time.
Yeah. Actually, you know who laid the foundation of impeachment? Speaking of USAID, do you know that they've been doing some research and shown that there was a significant amount of money tied to USAID that went to the CIA and was used to help to fund and set up the whistleblower and everything that helped to move forward the first impeachment of President Trump.
There's certainly it feels like these things are too intertwined, and it shouldn't be that way. The taxpayer money pays for this, and then that's happening.
Oh, well, oh, go ahead.
No, I'm just saying it's an absurd situation, but go on.
No, just say there's actually been if you look at some reporting that has been done and some research, that has been done into everything that was happening behind the scenes with USAID and the CIA. There are some people, some journalists that are claiming that you quite literally could not tell where USAID stopped and the CIA began. They were so intertwined. So much of their money was spent on this exact same things, or on behalf of one or the other, the way things were tied together. And in fact, there's several instances where it looks as though they were sending money to organizations to literally have it turned around and then given to the CIA. So funding the CIA through USAID for millions, potentially even billions of dollars. Before we move on, we've got a couple of gifts over on YouTube.
Oh, okay.
Istphobos gifted 5 price of legion.
Price of Legion. Yeah, it sounds
Right,
cool.
price of reason live memberships. So thank you for those, Istphobos. And then
Istafobos, thank you so much.
yes,
Istafobos also behind the scenes sometimes gives, like, he's like, oh, you should check this out, you should check that out. He's always
yeah,
thinking.
yep, sharing some resources with us, and then also Jamma Lama. Hey there, Jamma. For $5 super chat says there's a 9-minute video on Mike Benz's YouTube channel. This U.S. agency carefully orchestrated Trump's impeachment. You can play 5 minutes 25 through 6 minutes 56 to see how truly bad it is. Well, I actually have the report that was done by the journalist Michael Schellenberger. I have a little excerpt from that I was going to share here in just a minute. So yeah, we'll get to talk about that. We have one more super chat that just came through, Istafobos, for $2. Guess who gave AOC her start? Rhymes with Buhashi.
Who did they? Is the USAID somehow? Did they fund her? Oh, there was something about sending her abroad or something to some delegation. Maybe I'm wrong.
Oh, there's been a bunch of money that they've shown USAID was used to send different people on trips and stuff to.
Oh, Istafobos says, I feel like Price gets annoyed when I send him stuff. Not at all, man. I don't get annoyed. Sometimes it's a lot of like details and stuff, and sometimes it's about a topic that maybe we're not focusing on at that moment. But I usually read it, and then let's say once you were talking about there was a topic that you were discussing. I'm trying to think what it was. And then once it became a topic that we discussed, I actually sent you an invite in case you wanted to come talk about it. At that time, I think that you weren't feeling well on that day. But at a later point, we were talking about the planes. You came on and you talked about it. So no, I read what you send, and it's not annoying to me. It's sometimes it's a lot of information. I don't quite know at that second if and what to do with it, but I do look at it. Whatever you send, I actually do look at for whatever that's worth.
Yes. And I mispronounced it. He says I was supposed to say boo ass hey. So yes, it was.
And
USA.
Jeanette says if you annoy him more, we might get more lore. I was very hesitant the last time that I shared that little tidbit about that phone call I had. I really hesitated, but I figured, screw it.
So this is just an excerpt from some of the research, the journalism that was done by Michael Schellenberger, showing USAID and the CIA helped organize Trump's impeachment by using a whistleblower complaint based on secondhand information and a government-backed media operation to justify the case against him. So the whistleblower was a CIA analyst that had come from the Obama White House and claimed Trump had pressured the Ukraine to investigate Joe Biden, but it was all hearsay. The person had not actually been in the room with Trump when it happened. So there's some talk of some other groups, like tens of millions of dollars that went to a group called OCCRP, but it was basically created as an extension of the State Department and then of USAID. So there's a lot of intertwined, very, very strange stuff going on. There is a quick video here too that was an interview that he did over on Fox News.
You have this new piece on Substack that the USAID and the CIA helped orchestrate Trump's impeachment.
Yeah, I mean, Jesse, it's a crazy story. I mean, you might forget that, the House of Representatives impeached President Trump in December of 2019. Many people may not remember that it was a CIA analyst who was left over from the Obama White House who wrote the memo that led to the impeachment. It was all based on hearsay. The person had not actually been in the room with Trump. Nonetheless, this memo that he wrote relied heavily on a report done by an organization funded by USAID. In fact, its initial founding funding, I mean, now it's tens of millions of dollars, had gone into this group called the Organized Crime and Corruption Reporting Project, a name that's not very memorable, OCCRP, but it was basically created as an extension of the State Department and then of USAID. And as you know, Jesse, this is very serious to be involved in an effort to do regime change at home, as we've been discovering as the files have come out with what Elon Musk has been doing. We know that USAID was really about regime change abroad. It was a kind of public-facing part, regime change operation like CIA, but not covert, more overt. Well, now you see a similar blowback, just like they did censorship abroad and brought censorship tools back home. They were doing this sort of thing abroad, creating a predicate essentially for Trump's impeachment. So I think it's just one of many revelations that we'll see coming out in the next few weeks.
USAID was involved in regime change abroad and here at home. Very interesting. If you want to read more about what Mike's talking about, go to his Substack after the show. Don't go right now. Go after the show. Thanks, Mike.
Yeah. Don't go right now. Stay right here at the Night Owl.
Well, thankfully, I think that the people watching the Night Owl are pretty cool with hanging out with us.
Yeah. But there is some really fascinating stuff to read into what was going on. And yeah, I mean, that, quite frankly, is deeply disturbing. The idea that there was an agency of the U.S. government that was not only, involving itself in, trying to manipulate government and stuff outside of the United States, which we know that happens, but for that to be happening through this supposed aid organization, right? That's supposed to be out there helping and they save lives and they give, really, important, drugs and grants and things to help make the world better. Nope. They're actually out there trying to push regime change and manipulating governments. And then they tried to do it here. It did to some level do it here. It's extremely disturbing. Yeah, as Mary White says, disturbing, but not surprising.
Right. The Big Ship says, "You, Professor R2."
Oh, hey there, Big Ship.
How's it going, Big Ship? So yeah, they keep calling it USAID. I kind of like calling it USAID. I don't know why.
Yeah,
that actually is.
That is kind of the short way that they used to refer to it, USAID. That's just the acronym, and the idea that also kind of gives the idea that it's going out and it's aiding other countries.
It's aiding. It's a positive.
People.
It seems positive. USAID.
Yes. Yeah. And the name International Development, USAID. But apparently international development was not really their strong suit. It was more about paying a bunch of different NGOs lots of money that they would then basically embezzle, and a little bit of it would end up going to some little program here or another. And a lot of it ended up going into administrators' pockets and making big players very rich.
Yeah, Whalem said it's not aid, it's AID. I understand that, but I almost feel like the way they wrote it, it was kind of, you're supposed to feel like it's USAID, but I could be wrong. However you say it, I think it's a super annoying thing. Is it now kind of done?
Well, they've essentially put all the employees on leave, and they are working feverishly to continue to look through all of the spending and the connections and to these different NGOs and other groups within the U.S. government. And as of now, I think they said there's only going to be a few hundred employees potentially that would be kept on to maintain the organization. A whole bunch of it is going to be let go. People are going to be terminated. And that's why you've got a large group of governments people in big labor and people working for the government, people in a number of these labor unions that are involved in the government that are protesting out there right now, saying you can't fire us. We have a union. I got news for you. I guarantee you that before the end of these 4 years, Trump will at least try to end all public sector unions. It's going to happen.
Maybe. Dude Bro Seth 420
yeah.
from the Rumble side says, but that's a scam. People think that Trump ended aid by the U.S. because they keep saying USAID. I don't mind calling it USAID, but for me, it kind of it jumps out when you read it as USAID, but I understand if you want to be more precise,
Yeah.
I guess USAID, I accept that. It's fine.
Was it more like USAIDs? Was it more like that?
Yeah, exactly. So, yeah, I mean, I think, and this is just one agency that they've sort of dismantled. I wonder what else they're going to uncover when they continue to dig. This is like just feels like something they did in the first 5 minutes that they were looking.
Oh yeah, it didn't take long to dig up a lot of this stuff, and they're going to keep digging, and they're going to keep finding more, and it's going to be, yeah, I think we're going to keep hearing more, and there's going to be more and more disturbing stuff that's going to come from that too. Oh, sorry, Janet. I didn't mean to hurt your eardrums there.
Somebody said nobody's scarier. That Jeanette said nobody's scarier than the teachers union.
Yeah. Oh, no joke. I think there's going to be a few things that are going to be coming, down the road. We've gotten so much that's happened during these first couple weeks, first few weeks of the presidency now, and it's just this nonstop barrage of executive orders and changes that he's pressuring in the government and stuff, and it's going to keep coming, and I think there's going to be a few things that are going to be not a surprise, but things that maybe some people thought that Trump wouldn't actually do. He said, he'd think about it or whatever, but I think that Department of Education, I think that's going to be scaled down to next to nothing. They're going to restructure that, and they're going to start sending that money directly to the states instead of throwing it all away on a whole bunch of regulations and a whole bunch of administrative crap at the federal level.
By the way, I see we have a super chat from the Dead Man for $4.99.
Oh yes, we just got one. Yep.
It says Tulsi Gabbard and RFK Jr. likely to be confirmed. Dems on the talk.
Dems on the take, probably.
Dems on the take are scared. Yeah. I think that's what he meant. And thank you so much, Dead Man. That's very, very kind of you. I should prepare these kind of like videos or something, like something happened, and when somebody does like a super chat, there should be like a celebration.
It's something, yeah.
aside from me, like being really just very kind of overwhelmed and very thankful. I feel like there should be something more celebratory. But I appreciate very much Dead Man. Dead Man is here often. I'd say almost every time, if not every time we do a stream. These late night streams, and I'm always really appreciative. Istophobos, we said that he gave a $2 super chat. Yes, we gave AOC her start. Rhymes with who is she? I didn't understand that. Who is it rhyming?
USAID.
Oh, okay, USAID. Okay. And then Jamalam was talking about the 9-minute video with the Benz. I think that's what we were watching, right?
No, it was we watched a slightly different video, but it's about the same.
It was the same idea. We at least,
and it was talking with the original journalist too. That was the one that was doing the reporting. So.
And people are saying, "Oh, like you don't have mods or something." Somebody said that. I have to think about that. What Here, Price needs some mods.
We need to drop some mods, huh? Yeah,
Yeah, they're probably right. I'm just such a
we'll
I
talk about
think,
it. We'll talk about it after the show.
of
We'll
course,
get
of course.
get
But
some
just so you
mods.
know that we've been so focused on just doing this stream and hanging out and doing it that I think that I haven't even taken a moment to think about that. But it's not a bad thing. I think the professor is a mod.
I is.
Don't you have a wrench?
I do. But yeah, we at one point we decided we had to do something because there was I think it started that there was just somebody going nuts in the Rumble chat. So I was like, well, you might as well make me a mod in both so that I can help.
Right. We had a few incidents. Yes, I think that's what happened. Rumble chat, we had like one of the craziest like people, and they just continued to write more messages and more messages.
Writing crazy stuff about watermelon lovers and
Right.
all
There was a
sorts
lot of strange things going on there. And yeah, listen, the thing is that freedom of speech is important, and like sometimes people have different opinions, but sometimes like you go into like very dark places when you can tell that it's just some like like a
Yeah.
mentally ill person that just won't stop writing the craziest shit in your chat. So I think that was a very extreme case, whatever that was.
Oh
But
yeah.
yeah,
No,
I know what you mean.
it quickly went from talking about the watermelon lovers to talking about getting rid of the juice.
Yes, there was a lot of crazy things going
And
on.
yeah, so once you start
People
talking about
that
the
enjoy
juice,
a mustache,
yes, yeah,
especially like the mustache man. It was. I
yeah,
remember this one case. It was just a really bonkers person, and they just kept leaving more and more messages. It's not a very welcoming vibe for people that are hanging out here. So,
yeah,
but it was a very extreme case. So just
yeah.
to clarify.
Yes, yeah,
Anyhow.
Janet, we did have Omar the other day. Yeah, he was fun for a little while until he wasn't.
Yeah, I think there was somebody here. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, listen, you run into strange things. Again, it's like when it comes to Twitter and things like that, there's freedom of speech and all that. But when we hang out here and we're having fun and we're all talking and chatting, and there's just somebody here to just insult people and not really interested in participating in conversation, but just came mainly to insult people in the chat, I usually don't like that. So
Yeah, it gets out of hand.
the big ship said, "I missed Omar. He seemed cool and normal." Yeah, he seemed.
Well, I didn't ban him. I just booted him for a day. He could come back. He just
Like in
chose
5
not
minutes,
to.
he'll appear here. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh.
So what do you
Yeah.
think they're going to audit next? What do you think the next thing they're going to look into is?
Oh, goodness. Yeah, USAID has just been an absolute gold mine.
Right.
Honestly, I think there's a few places they could go. I think there's, the IRS could definitely be one that they could start digging into. I know that there's been a lot of corruption. There's a belief that a lot of people, a lot of the higher ups have been choosing their targets for audits and stuff like that on a very political level, which is very disturbing. But I think
For
the
sure.
Department of Education is going to be a big one. I think there's already been a lot of talk about Department of Education. I see a few people in the chat saying Department of Education, Treasury. Yeah, the Treasury could be one. There's already been some issues that they've been looking into there about the basically that anything that came through the payment office was just paid. Like no one ever like checked to make sure that there was anything behind it saying that like it should be paid or whatever. So it's it's wild. But yeah, that might be one too. But yeah, I think definitely the Department of Education. Yitis says Medicare, Medicaid. That will definitely be one on the list. That is rife with abuse. And that definitely needs to be something that they take a look at. It's not that I don't think that Medicare and Medicaid should be there. I support having, a a safety net, as they call it there, to help with those kind of things, especially for the elderly, those that are retired and stuff. I support that being there for people. It's the fact that it has been and played and used by so many organizations. I actually know someone who for years served as the chief financial officer for a hospital. He actually worked in healthcare for a while. It does not anymore, but served as a chief financial officer for several different medical organizations and one hospital. And he left. He left his job, well-paying job, as the chief financial officer for a large hospital, because he was essentially told by the hospital administrator to commit Medicare fraud. And they said, no, we have to do it. We have to record things this way. We have to report things this way. We have to do this because that's the only way we're going to stay open as a hospital. We have to have all this money, whatever. But he said, no, I'm not going to do it. This is fraud. And it'll come back on you, but as the chief financial officer signing off on this stuff, it's going to come back on me, and I won't do it. And he told me that it's everywhere. Every hospital is doing it, and that's wild, right? To think that that's just the way things work. You're in a hospital, you commit fraud and take the government for a ton of money, and that's really sad.
I mean, hospitals in general, even without the government, I have to say, very shady business. I once had something that I needed something done years ago, uh, that was relatively minor, and it was a medical thing. And basically, I was supposed to go in one day, and I think I left the same day, just a minor thing. And what happened is that I don't know if you know, when you have insurance, you have like your minimum deductible and all this stuff of
Sure,
what you're
yeah.
supposed to pay, what you're not supposed to pay. I knew all these numbers in advance, what I'm supposed to pay. Then they send me a bill of what they wanted me to pay. Then basically they send me a different bill, now basically demanding more money, or something along those lines. And I called them and I said, like, what did I figure out happened? Basically, it's as if the insurance company and the hospital coordinated. How do they max out what I have to pay, so that I pay like the full maximum amount that you can squeeze out of me with my minimum? Do you get what I'm trying to say? That
No,
instead of me paying maybe
yeah.
what I was supposed to pay, they fix the numbers in a way that to push me to the max. If the max was I have to pay three grand out of my pocket, for example, they pushed me to the max so that I would have to pay that, even though initially the numbers didn't represent that. So later on, after the fact, they fixed the numbers. So if initially it seemed like I was going to pay 1,500 or 2,000, suddenly they wanted 3,000. And I fought them. I actually
Mhm.
put up a fight and fought them, and I said, "I'm not going to pay this. Like, you guys are trying to fix the numbers. Like, I'm not going to pay it." And this is just some hospital and insurance thing. These hospitals and these insurances and all these things, there's a lot of shady stuff that goes on. So it doesn't surprise me what you're saying, that also with government money and the way these hospitals and these places are funded, there's a lot of crooked stuff here, in my
Oh,
opinion.
absolutely. And there's not only is there's just some of it's not even that it's crooked, it's just malfeasance. It's somebody who doesn't actually know how to do their job properly, and they don't actually know how to do code things properly in the system. But yeah, there is a lot of very shady stuff that happens. Trust me, I had an uncle. He passed away a number of years ago. He had lung cancer for a number of years. At one point, he was the longest lived uh, lung cancer patient in the United States. He was on a number of different what do they call it? Like testing medications. He was in trials. That's what I was going to say. He was in
Okay.
a number of different trials taking new medications, and he was a prime candidate for all of these trials because he was perfectly healthy before he got lung cancer. He never smoked in his life. We're talking about a guy who got up and rode his bicycle 2 miles a day.
When did this happen?
Yeah.
Like,
This
how
this
did
was a number of years ago. This was about 9 years ago at this
I
point.
see?
But at least when he passed away. He was alive for about 4 or 5 years. But anyway, during the time when he was in all these trials and everything that was going on, his wife was constantly monitoring all of the billing and everything, because during the first few months that they were involved in these trials and all this different stuff, she was finding dozens of errors and things they were being charged for that they shouldn't have been charged for. Aspirin that cost $80. They tried
100%.
they
100%.
tried to charge his insurance, tried to charge him for breathing air. They said he was on oxygen, but it was the oxygen from the room. So that they tried to charge him
Listen, I
for
believe it.
breathing the air.
I 100% believe it. If you would have seen that day, I didn't even spend the night at the
Yeah.
hospital. I was there for a number of hours. I don't want to start, bringing like all the details here, but I'm saying the bill was forget about my deductible. The type of numbers that they were even trying to bill the insurance, what was going on there was insanity. It was insanity. There is no way that a guy in a few hours in a thing is going to get charged that. The fact that they would charge that from a person. Thankfully, I have insurance and all that, but man, there has to be something wrong if you would have seen those type of numbers. It was something crazy, and just it doesn't make any sense. There's no way to justify it. So it really taught me that one situation, how much in bed these insurance companies and these hospitals are, and I think also by extension when it comes to government or government programs, there is a lot of stuff going on behind the scenes, and the idea is always the same. How can they get a lot of your money somehow? How can they or in that case, maybe the government's money, but how do they make money?
Yeah.
That's the bottom line. And I'm not saying that hospitals shouldn't think about how to make money. It's a business, but when it's so excessive, one has to wonder. But that's my experience. I'm sorry to hear. You said this was your uncle that.
Yeah, and this was a number of years ago. So
I'm
yeah, it's all
sorry
right.
to hear about
Yeah,
that.
yeah. I appreciate that. I do. But yeah, he was a good man, and yeah, it was sad to lose him, but it was it was quite some time ago. So I was gonna say we have a super chat here, another one from Istophobos for $5. He says this will be amazing and happen fast. Musk will be using AI to find inconsistencies and connections where a human never could. It is going to be brutal, and I agree 100%.
I agree.
Istophobos, that is part of how they have been able to uncover so much so quickly. They have some they have some just geniuses that are working for them. I saw a story about one of them the other day. They are they are unleashing their tism onto the analyses that they're doing. They're throwing AI at it. They're doing all sorts of stuff just obsessively to dig through this data and find all of this stuff that otherwise might have taken years and years of digging through accounts and digging through paperwork and all sorts of stuff to dig up. It's wild. It's absolutely
this
wild.
is something that is in Elon Musk's wheelhouse, bringing a team of 20 people with all this kind of AI software. It wouldn't surprise me that this is happening. Jeanette said hospitals are called big pharma for a reason. They're part of the machine. I agree. I guess also there was something here that made me laugh. The big ship said, "Oh, I almost forgot. For those of you that missed Cannoli's Twilight stream, I have new lore. Price's dated headlamp, Al Pacino, and new entrant Kristen Stewart." Well, I haven't dated all those people. I actually haven't dated any of them. But
that's not what I heard.
So first of all, Cannoli Sasquatch has a great channel where we watch movies sometimes, and we watched Twilight New Moon, a movie that I don't think neither he nor I like. I don't even know why we were watching. It's an awful movie, but we talked about that movie, and it was a terrible movie, but it was a fun stream. I'll give it that, because sometimes when there's a bad movie, it's fun to make fun of it. And there, I guess part of the lore that he's talking about, Price, is Leslie Headland. That everybody already heard that. Al Pacino. Did I talk about it there? I thought that was on Midnight Set. I don't even remember. But in any case, with the Al Pacino one is that I actually took a selfie once with Al Pacino, and later he told a few weeks later Mario Lopez, they took a selfie, and he told Mario Lopez that's the first selfie he ever took with anybody, which wasn't true because I had a selfie with him. I know that sounds very stupid, but this is a true story. And then the final thing is Kristen Stewart, which would be that I was at a party in New York. I think it was Soho, and it was just kind of a bar, a trendy bar. And there was a woman standing next to me while I was drinking whiskey, and she looked like Kristen Stewart, but at the time she had kind of white, this kind of, when she started dyeing her hair like white,
Yeah.
it looked like really bad. It was kind of like, I would say blonde, but it was almost like a white blonde.
Yeah.
So
Yeah,
anyhow,
like
she
a
got
platinum blonde.
platinum, whatever
Yeah.
it was. She dyed it platinum, and I didn't even see pictures until that moment. It was brand new, this kind of platinum look. So she stood next to me, and she had this short hair, and she looked like, usually all the pictures I've seen her, even though I really don't think much of Kristen Stewart. I don't love her acting, and I don't even really think, especially like her. Nothing personal, but you know what I'm saying. So even with that, usually when I'd see her until that moment, she'd be on the red carpet. She'd have like long brown hair. She'd be wearing a dress, something like that. She had the platinum haircut, had like clothes that had like it looked like you just rolled her out of bed, but not even bed from like a fancy hotel. Like I'm saying, like some like bad area that you rolled around. She looked very not great, and she also, like, the way she acted, I would think that maybe she was I can't tell you what she did prior to attending this bar, but she looked like she wasn't, how do I explain this? She looked like perhaps she was participating in some kind of recreational activity of sorts.
Oh, sure. Yes.
So
Yeah.
in any case, she looked like that, and then I actually didn't think it was Kristen Stewart. So I was standing next to the bar, and there were a few people there that I did know. And then she just stood next to me, and I was just standing, kind of looking ahead. And I was drinking my whiskey, and I looked to my left, and I looked at her. And when I looked, there was something about this person standing next to me that reminded me of Kristen Stewart. So I looked at her. I said, "Hey, you kind of look like Kristen Stewart." And she looked at me weird. And I said, "Well, obviously you're not her, but there's something about you that kind of, you have something, something like that." I looked at her. She made this really annoyed face and then just kept like walked away. And then somebody that was like next to me said, "Oh, what did you just say to Kristen Stewart?" And that's kind of how I found out that it was Kristen Stewart. And then later, this is the craziest part. Later, like I kind of walked, and I kind of checked from a different angle. It was her, and then long story short, suddenly, like, I think a woman comes and sits on her, like some other friend of hers or something, and like she was sitting on her, and they were being very kind of affectionate with each other. Now, again, keep in mind that until that moment, nobody had seen the platinum thing, or most people hadn't. She was involved with Robert Pattinson, and then had an affair with that director. So her hanging out with the ladies and looking strange and doing all this stuff was like, that was not on anybody's bingo card. I was like, I really wasn't sure it was her. And I think that the way I verified, I don't remember what tattoo she has or where, but I think that I looked online at photos and I noticed she had either a tattoo on her arm or where she has her tattoo. And then wherever she had it, I kind of went and confirmed that the same tattoo was on her. And I'm like, it's her. She now has like short platinum hair, dresses like very shabbily, looks like there's something wrong with her, and is affectionate with the ladies. And yeah, I mean, now if you see her like anywhere, that's exactly what she looks like. Like, it became the norm afterwards, but I was one of the first people to see it. Like nobody knew except for me, and I mean, what was I gonna say? Even like, it's not that I had anybody to tell it to, but I'm like, hey, yesterday I went to a bar. I saw like a weird platinum hair Kristen Stewart with the ladies, but it is what it is.
That's funny. Yep.
Jeanette says, "What's with him and dating Les?" She did not even I said something to her, she didn't even respond. All I got was this look that like was a very unhappy look, and she walked away. Didn't date her in any way. But people asked for the lore, so I gave it. So now you have the expanded lore. The reason for all of this is that back in the day, I used to go out a lot more, and I do stuff that was a little more networking, and I'd sometimes be invited to places that were a little trendy in New York City, where kind of lived in that area. So from time to time, I'd find myself in interesting situations like that, maybe kind of, at best, I want to call it rubbing shoulders, but in most cases, it doesn't mean that like I would actually become friends or anybody cared. It's not that like, it's just I'm kind of like Forrest Gump in that sense, I just happen to be in certain places that are interesting or funny, but I'm not like a significant player in this whole situation, if that makes sense.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Whalen says Price doing tattoo investigations. I did do a tattoo investigation. She has a tattoo somewhere. I'm trying to remember if it was on her hand or where it was. She had a tattoo, and that's how I verified it. Because until the tattoo, I was still skeptical. Even though the guy was like, you were pissing off Kristen Stewart, I wasn't sure about it. In any case,
See, here's the thing. I'm the hair would totally have thrown me off.
right.
I it would totally have thrown me off. I've done that. I have met people. I am usually really good at recognizing faces, but I ran into somebody not long ago, and I was like, I feel like I know them, but like, and then like we started talking, and I'm like, oh my god, that's who that is. Your hair is totally different. Totally different haircut. Like, used to kind of keep it like kind of up and kind of like but this, it was just completely straight, and it threw me off completely. Like, I did not recognize him. So I think I would have been in the same boat with you there, Bryce.
So yeah, she has a tattoo on her arm. I'm trying to. It was something like that. She has a few tattoos on her arm, and that's how I found it. I don't know if it was this one that had the weird sun and eye on it or whatever it is, but she had a few tattoos on her arms. I looked online, at pictures of her. I saw the tattoos, and then like I confirmed that she had at least one of the tattoos where the picture had it. It was on her arm. Over the years, she's gotten more now. I was trying to Google it, but yeah, it was the tattoo that gave it away. People must think I'm crazy that I was looking on my phone at tattoos and trying to verify. But I really, I until the last moment, if not for the tattoos, I probably wouldn't have even been telling you all this story. Like, it's just I confirmed it had to be her. Today also it makes sense. She actually doesn't go out with men anymore. She's only with women. Uh, Everything I saw was like very representative of who she is today. It's maybe, I don't know if she does recreational, whatever. I don't want to throw her under the bus. I'm just saying that her appearance and her vibe is much more aligned then with what she is today. It's just nobody knew it then, which was weird. And it's not like this was a LG club. I just want to make it clear that this was just a standard, straight place. So I don't know. Very strange situation. But yeah, I don't know why people are saying in the chat like I'm like a magnet for women who pretend to be ladies but like to be with other ladies. So, somehow I find myself at a bar with them. I don't know what that says about me.
Oh boy.
Anyhow,
Let's see,
back to
yeah.
whatever. There was something with 60 Minutes that I just wanted to look at that clip that they're kind of trying to like do the interview for Kamala with Kamala. Did you see that?
Yes. The sort of the released clip version of or not the unedited version as well. Yeah, they released that unedited version of the interview with Kamala. That's what you're talking about, right?
Yeah, the thing that they basically they're the whole idea is that they were sort of the FEF, what is it, FCC
Yes.
was investigating if CBS were doing everything on the up and up with that 60 Minutes interview, and then there was a lot of footage today, and it looked like they were kind of really trying to help her shape the interview.
Oh, absolutely.
There was a video going around if you happen to have a link for it.
I don't have one right now.
Let me see for a second if I can find it.
If I can find something.
Let me see.
Let's see. While you're looking for that, I can share something else.
Do it.
Here. Let's on the lighter side, on the more positive side of things that are happening out there in the world today. I'm not much of a sports ball person. I don't relish my time watching the Super Bowl each year or wait for it to play. But there was something that came out today that really touched my heart, or it touched something anyway. At this year's Super Bowl, they're going to be bringing back the Carl's Jr. babes.
Yes, I saw that.
The world
That
is
looks like a
healing.
good commercial. You can share it if you want.
The world is healing, Price.
It is.
It's a good thing. It's a good thing. I think I have the a version of the commercial here.
What's more American than a cheeseburger?
Ah, it's going to do this thing where it keeps stopping and repeating. Hold on.
Is it working?
All right, here we go.
6 says, I need some positivity. Well, we're very positive that you're here now, 6. It's good to see you. And Jeanette seems happy to see you.
Mm-hmm.
And now we're watching.
What's more American than a cheeseburger? This cheeseburger, loaded with a hot dog and potato chips, in the hands of all-American model Samantha Hoops, in a hot tub, in a pickup truck, driven by an American bull rider, on an aircraft carrier, under the gaze of Lady Liberty, as she admires the most American thick burger, with a split hot dog and kettle-cooked potato chips on a fresh-baked bun. New at Carl's Jr. What's more American than...
So
Well,
yes, the babes are back at Carl's Jr. So
finally,
yes, as I said, world is healing. We can enjoy some lovely young women in some scantily.
It's like the easiest marketing campaign ever. Somebody just like, hey, why don't we stop all the crappy commercials? Why don't we just bring a few ladies that look nice and they can sell our burgers? And they're like, wow. And then they just do it. And probably everybody, this is the best thing they could do. Now, like every company may discover that suddenly women that look nice and things like and appealing, but it also goes the other way. Even women that look at commercials, you know, they want to see a guy like that, like looks masculine in a commercial doing something, if it's something that they want to buy or whatever it is. I guess what I'm saying is it's not limited to women. I think that in general, they've been playing it safe. They didn't want men to look good or be masculine. They didn't want women to look good or be feminine. Hopefully, they'll start going back to just being what I consider to be normal. And now we have this other thing that I wanted to share, which is the 60-minute thing. Can you see it?
Yes.
Okay. So I don't know. I think this is somehow they're according to what this person, the charity wrote, propaganda. 60 Minutes allows Kamala Harris to lie when the cameras are rolling. When they're off, they confront her, asking her for the truth. Let's look at it.
Madam Vice President, thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you, Bill. Good to be with you.
Well, can we just get just a little bit of a question, please, so I can get it over the shoulder shot?
Yeah.
1 second. Just a second. Okay, thank you.
You need me talking?
Yes, sir.
Oh, we were talking about how you're going to pay for it. And I mean, I truly do mean it. Your plans are logical, make logical sense.
Mm-hmm.
The way Washington works is not logical. So how are you going to convince a divided Congress that what you say, your plans, are something that they should all agree to and provide to the American people when they've shown no inclination to do that up to this point?
Is that what you needed?
Yes, sir. Yes, ma'am. 30 seconds of silence, please, for each other. Cameras are off.
How will you?
going to be taxes. It's going to be literally, if the economists, I mean, they're from each the spectrum.
But I hear what you're saying
Yeah.
about the economists. This is true.
Yeah.
But Congress is not the economists.
I know, but
Basically, I mean,
Yeah.
compare this interview, which was in such a controlled environment. It's hard to tell from this, but I understand one thing, that this is a very controlled environment. They had him like sort of really helping her out. Then they're kind of off the record, and he's like talking to her, and they're all kind of giving her answers from the side. Now think of Trump going to Joe Rogan and sitting for 3 hours talking with nobody in the room, just him and Joe Rogan talking for 3 hours, him sitting around doing these kind of podcasts that he's sitting around for hours talking with people. Completely different level of campaigning than Kamala Harris. That's the truth.
No, yeah, it's completely different. It's
Like she couldn't come
see-
up with a normal answer.
yeah, to basically be to a point almost being prompted for a specific answer, or them sort of taking an extra take so she could give an answer that they wanted to use, or and then some of the others edits that we saw where it's yeah, there's like, oh, we asked one question and then we cut out a big chunk and then we made it look like the answer she gave to a different question was the answer to that question, so that we left out her word salad and rambling and nonsense that she went on. It's just wild. That I mean, I guess I'm not super surprised
No,
that took place.
We
Not
knew-
even a little bit, but
There were edits. There were different edits. First of all, in the commercial, she had one answer, and later they re-edited her answer. So I think that really gave a feeling that they're very much helping her. And compare at the time, Trump said, "I don't want to go to 60 Minutes. I don't want to talk to you, and I don't want your stupid interview." And everybody was like, "How dare he say such a thing to an institution like 60 Minutes?" But when I see this, I kind of understand why he didn't want to go there, because he thought to himself. His claim was, if I go to this interview, they're going to edit it to make me look bad while they edit it to make her look good. And you know what? He may be a guy that says things that are blunt, and maybe he says things sometimes that he maybe says them in a way that's not so good or whatever it is, but I can't say that he was wrong on this one. They are obviously holding her hand and trying to get some kind of interview out of her. That doesn't feel right when there's a presidential election. And considering all the different narratives and things that were pushed from that direction, one has to wonder, if this isn't like a line being crossed here.
mhm.
By the way, I want to say hi to Matt Cat. Good to see you here. I also saw
Yeah,
Tim
Matt Cat.
Hayes here before, and I think that the Dead Man gave a super chat. I believe he gave us a piece of poop. So thank you, Dead Man. The Dead Man, it's a 99-cent poop sticker.
Yes.
Thank you.
It appears to be a very happy poop.
It's a happy poop,
yes.
so that's cool. And yeah, great to see Matt Cat here. I'm always happy to see him. So yeah, I think that we kind of knew this. We even talked about it here on the stream, and I think a lot of people noticed that 60 Minutes thing was kind of suspicious. But when you look at this clip now, just in the raw footage of how there's people behind her giving her answers, how he's trying to sort of direct her in a way that she'll answer it, and once the camera stopped rolling, you kind of feel, you can really tell that there's a difference between what we got in the interview that was very, very orchestrated, between these kind of real answers or these real reactions from him. It just was very telling, even in this brief 90-second clip.
Yeah.
So
It
I
really
don't know
is.
if anything's going to happen to them. I don't know if anybody's going to do anything. Do you think that it'll lead to any repercussions, or nobody's going to do anything?
You can never tell. I don't know.
Probably nothing.
Probably nothing. Yeah.
Yeah, and then well, it is what it is. Did you see today that there was this whole thing with Rob Liefeld? I don't know if I'm saying his name correctly. Liefeld, the guy that created Deadpool.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I didn't see anything about that today. What?
So he basically went. I think it's in the Hollywood Reporter. We talked about it in Midnight's Edge. I actually saw it before we talked about it, but that stream is before this one. but there was something about how he was saying here. I think I found the article.
Yeah, I believe it's Liefeld.
Liefeld, okay.
Yeah.
So he was talking about how he's not going to work with Marvel after Deadpool and Wolverine premiere because he claims that they completely disrespected him. Feige didn't, I guess, say acknowledge that he was there. He took pictures, but they kind of they didn't. They pretended to take pictures of him. They didn't take pictures of him and his family. The picture that did exist, there's maybe one. But the thing that I think really annoyed him is after the screening, they had like a little kind of, and I sometimes tell you about this, that I've been to these type of events. Actually, there was a time that when these kind of events happen in New York, I'd often, I mean, it's for me to say, but I'd often get invited, or sometimes I would get invited. I don't know if often is a good word, but I would occasionally get invited. And usually, what happens is that you have like a movie screening, and at the end of the screening, one out of two things happen. Either within the same building, if it's like I don't want to give too much away. I was in the past year at something, I think it was like at the Museum of Modern Art or something like that, and they have the theater there. And I saw like a screening of something, and then they said, "Okay, let's go to the next within the same building. There's a little lounge." So they say, "Okay, let's go there." This is kind of like quote unquote the after party, and in the after party, there's a few people with hors d'oeuvres. They had like little burgers, stuffed mushrooms, things like that, and which is common, like these kind of like easy hors d'oeuvres. Sometimes it's different ones. Sometimes there's a little bit of like tuna tartare or something like that if you're lucky. But there's usually uh, some cocktails that are free. You don't have to pay for them or anything. There's some hors d'oeuvres, and usually it's just people hang out there for like an hour after the event, and it's a nice way. Like you invite the usually the people that if let's say probably at that cocktail party you had like Feige and Ryan Reynolds and I don't know who. Apparently they didn't invite Rob, who created Deadpool, to the party, and I guess they did it purposely. They didn't want him at the after party. But what I will say is it's very, very petty and a very bad look that the guy that created the character of the movie that's about to make you like $1 billion something and already has made a lot of money for people, that you don't even want to invite him to that silly thing. I mean, there's nothing special about it. It's just people sitting there, like, standing and, drinking like some beverage and eating like an hors d'oeuvre. You may as well invite the guy. You know what I mean? Like, you have to really go out of your way to be a dick to not invite him. And yeah, I guess they didn't invite him. So he got very offended by that. I think there may be other things that I don't fully understand, that maybe throughout the process, in the past, apparently Fox News, not Fox News, Fox, just with the regular Fox, was cool with him when he made the Deadpool movies. He felt that once it became like Marvel and Disney, they weren't cool with him in the same way. I think Tom said that he visited, maybe it's here in the article or something, that he visited the set and something didn't feel right, and then they kind of did this maneuver where they didn't invite him to the after party. It seems petty, but at the same time, why disrespect the guy? I mean, I think that sometimes you gotta take the high road, even if you thought he was annoying. He created the character. That's the minimum. It's so disrespectful that a guy, he's not going to be making $1.5 billion. This Rob Liefeld guy, for him, to be there, just let him come to let him come to the cocktail party. Give him a drink and give him like a burger and let him go. You know what I mean? What? It just seems very petty to me. Professor, you still there?
Muted. Sorry. Yeah, it does seem extremely petty. What would it really have cost them to, kind of honor somebody who helped create the property that they're, that they're showing, that they made their movie off of? I mean, it's just a guy, just one guy and family. It's
I like the
sad.
comment that Mad Cat left here. Yeah, it's not cool that they didn't invite him to drink prosecco and talk about bullshit. Yeah, I mean, it's a stupid thing. It's really, really a stupid thing. That's exactly what it is. It doesn't mean anything to anybody. It's like a lot of times, like I said, it's in the same venue, or if not in the same venue, usually what the people that organize these events, they look, what's the closest bar? Sometimes it could be even like just a very mediocre place that just like happens to be next door. I said that without even looking, and I think Six then told me that in the chat, On the other stream, she's like, "Oh, it was like a bar that was 2 blocks away, or 2 buildings away, whatever it was." Totally believe that's the case. That's usually what happens. They try to find the closest setup they can. You go in there. It's usually it wasn't some like grand fancy. If you're like imagining like the royal palace, it's not that. It's usually just like a small gathering at a bar. There's a few like glasses of wine. People just kind of nod to each other. There's a few hors d'oeuvres. If you create a Deadpool and they're doing like a little get together like that for an hour to just celebrate the release of Deadpool, not inviting you is just sort of like giving you a middle finger. That's pretty much what they're doing. And I guess they did it on purpose, but I don't think that that's a good thing to do to creators.
No, not at all. And yeah, I mean, that's one way to make an enemy, right? Just make them feel like they're disrespected, or like you don't like you didn't actually uh, care for them, or that they were inconvenient as part of as part of that event, and part of the group of creators that helped to make that film be a reality. That's extremely frustrating.
No, the thing is that the part with Kevin Feige not recognizing him, that I could like, whatever. I think that the part that he says it was meant to embarrass me and diminish and defeat me that they didn't, invite me to the after party. I think that's kind of crappy. Uh, the thing is also usually at events like this, you'll know if you're like this Rob guy and the different people there, you'll see them all kind of gathering and going quickly to this after party. You know that there is an after party, and you know that you're not being invited to it. It's kind of like, like I said, they did it on purpose, and I wouldn't do that. Even if they thought he was annoying, I still don't think that's what they should have done.
Yeah.
He says, I received the message. The message is clear. Yeah. I guess it also he wanted a special credit on Deadpool Wolverine, and he asked for different things, but he said he didn't ask for more money. I don't know. He says Marvel's treatments of creators have never been their strength. It's probably true.
Oh, there's a
Another-
long history of Marvel and DC both being very disrespectful to the creators of many of their properties, and not really giving them their due. I mean, that goes back decades, right? Not only giving them the credit that they deserve for their creations, but sharing the ridiculous amount of money that they've made off of those properties as well. So yeah, it's really sad and frustrating to see
I mean,
creators
I
that-
will. The only thing that I'll say is that as much as I can't understand his frustration, I may not have made it public if I were him. I would have made maybe more of a stink. But once you start doing something like that in public, I don't know what you're really benefiting from it. And the other thing is, if he did get money, the question is if his contract says something that he's not allowed to disparage or say something negative, because then that could be a problem for him. I will say that.
I think he has a history of being a little controversial, and being kind of in your face about his opinions. He has his own podcasts where he talks about stuff, and perhaps some of this came up there as well. But yeah, I don't know. Maybe he just had enough. I don't know.
Right, but I'll tell you this, is that a lot of times when you sign a contract, because he gets some money from Marvel, he must get something for them using this character. So a lot of times within that contract, it's like it says that he can't go publicly say something bad about Disney, for example. He's not allowed to. If his contract said that, and that's the contract they have in place, that could be some trouble for him. Maybe I'm wrong. I don't know. Maybe in
Yeah.
this situation, they'd probably not want to start dealing with that because maybe it's a bigger headache, and he can just say it and they'll let it go. But a lot of times, like it says, you're not allowed to say bad things, and if you do, that is an issue. They can demand their money back. They can sue you. They can do a lot of stuff. A lot of times, these contracts also they write, well, if you want to do this, it'll have to be through arbitration. which also you don't love going up against somebody like Disney in an arbitration situation because the arbitrators are usually more towards the big corporation.
Oh, of course,
So
yeah.
you know, those things I don't want to say are rigged. I don't want to use the word rigged, but I'm saying like those arbitration things don't always work out in your favor. So what I'm trying to say is that I hope for this Rob guy that he didn't have a contract that keeps them from criticizing them, because if he did and he ends up making a mistake, it may cost him a lot more than just, you know, any kind of reputational thing if he wasn't allowed to say it. But that's just my 2 cents because I've seen contracts like this.
Mhm.
I'll say even more. I've been involved in contracts like these. Not that I was the talent, not that I'm the person that somebody wanted, but that I was working on contracts that involved other people. And yes, it says sometimes that you're not allowed to say bad things.
Yeah, there's non-disparagement clauses, things like that. They're included in the contracts. Yeah.
I'll give you here. You like expanding lore. I'll give you a random story, which isn't that interesting. Once there was a hotel, you know, in Las Vegas, and this hotel wanted some singer who was sort of, some people knew of her, but she's not the biggest singer in the world. There was a song that was being played then that she, you know, she was kind of on, but this is, we're not talking about Beyonce here. You know what I mean? So
Yeah.
they wanted this. I don't know if to say flavor of the month type of artist. You know, there's 2 types of artists. There's the ones that are like Taylor Swift, Rihanna, whatever, that have like catalogs of like a million songs. And then there's one that kind of come and go and like you barely remember that they were even there. Like
Mhm.
I struggle now to even remember the name of this singer. That's how much I don't even, that's how much she didn't leave like a footprint in pop culture that I can't remember now off the top of my head without sort of researching or looking through my emails. Can't even remember her name. But basically, she was supposed to go to a hotel and perform a few songs. Are you with me?
Will you?
Now, this is like a casino. This is a serious business, like a hotel in Vegas. Like, you know, there's lawyers, there's contracts. Like, you know, I was involved, you know, in brokering the thing. And at the end of the day, always in these contracts, there's something that says if she's going to come here and we're going to give her money, she'll perform a few songs. She cannot say bad things about our casino, right?
Mhm.
They, not only that, they expect her to go on social media and say like good things about their casino, and sometimes that's actually included in the clause. Same thing also with TV shows, by the way. You know, there's a new show, you got to promote it on your thing, on your social media. These are things that are baked into these contracts at this point. So at that point, it was a casino, it was Las Vegas, and she needed to perform a few songs, and she needed to go online and link the handles and say good things about on social media, maybe take a picture in a room. Whatever it is. So all of that seemed fine. And then I don't know what happened on the day that she kind of, on the morning of her checkout, or she checked out. I thought everything was great. She did what she was supposed to do. She checked out. And then suddenly somebody from the casino, and thankfully this was a person that was like friendly to my cause, because it could have turned out much worse for me.
Mhm.
Me being involved like in the brokering of this, a guy called me and he's like, "Did you see this lady's social media?" And I'm like, "No." And I look at it and she's like, "I hate this place. I'll never come to this fucking place." Like she writes all this stuff. And I'm looking at it and I'm like, I didn't even know what to say. Thankfully, this guy that told me, he told me that really quickly after she posted it. And because she's not like a Beyonce or something like that, maybe it was sort of off the radar. It didn't pop as much as if it was Taylor Swift, I would be finished. You know what I mean? But because
Absolutely.
it was with some like a smaller potato. Basically, I quickly called her. I'm like, take that off, take that out. We're gonna get sued. Like, you take that off. And I was like flipping out. So she like deleted it. But what I'm saying is that you have to be really careful with contracts and people paying you if you're gonna go say like bad things about them. And she removed it. And funny enough, a lot of times when you have people like that, those are people that I would say don't make it. You know, I'm not saying she didn't make it more because only because of that. Maybe she didn't have other stuff to offer, but it's a bad attitude to have. It's like a Zegler
Absolutely.
attitude, if you understand what I'm saying. You've
Yeah.
done nothing. What, you were, you know, featured on some song. You know what I mean? Like it's not big enough that you can go around and act like this.
Absolutely.
So
Yep. No, yeah, when you got a contract, you gotta be careful with it. So yeah, I think you're right. You have to wonder if Rob did have some kind of contract or something that would prohibit him from disparaging the product or disparaging Disney or something. But
So the big
yeah.
ship says price dated a one-hit wonder and doesn't even remember her name, Bong. I don't remember this lady's name. I just don't remember it. It was you know how there used to be these kind of artists. I don't know if it's like David Guetta, um, other ones like him, Avicii or something like that, and suddenly you have like that they're featuring uh, they're featuring an artist on it. It's like a known DJ, but the DJ has like an artist on it. So that was one of those situations that it was like a very famous DJ that is worth a lot of money, kind of took a relatively on the rise and not very known female singer to sing his track. But you could still bring that female singer to a few places and have her sing the song because at that moment it's like really big and on the radio and in the clubs. So you're paying not like for the big DJ, but just for the lady that sings it. And people that are smart, if she's smart, she tries to build a career out of it. But if right out the gate, when barely people even know her name, they just know what kind of hit song that she's on, she's already writing that she hates the place that paid her money to be there. That's like starting on the wrong foot.
Mhm.
And if people that don't know, just in the past, I used to be involved in I worked at a few different places that had to do with either booking talent for events, sometimes corporate events, sometimes hotels, things like that, different situations like that. Sometimes it would be in other capacities that maybe I would consult or be involved in certain events. And that is initially how I found myself, on the business end, dealing sometimes with talent and with even these kind of entertainment industry people. That was one thing that I did. Later I also went into sometimes consulting different, if you want to say artists or something like that, on different matters.
Mhm.
So between all of that stuff, I found myself in a lot of interesting situations. And yes, there was a point in time that I was sort of doing a lot of stuff. So I kind of crossed paths with people. And then there was a window of time that when there were these kind of events in New York, I also was a different person then. I think I wanted to go out more. I was more social. I wanted to go to these networking events. And a lot of times there were these kind of premieres and screenings and things like that. So I would get invited. I always tell people that I think one day they just woke up and they fixed the glitch, because I feel like every event that I ever went to that I talked to some kind of celebrity, it ended with a celebrity getting annoyed. It's almost like a Curb Your Enthusiasm, only with me at these kind of events.
Yeah.
But I don't regret anything.
Yeah.
Wouldn't have changed anything. Every place I went to, I acted like myself, and if that's good for people, that's fine. And if they didn't like myself, then nothing I can do about that either.
Yeah. Well, that's the story, Price's story about Carly Rae Jepsen and his connection with her.
I can't even remember this lady's name. If you Google, like, I can't remember if it was like Tiesto or David Guetta or one of those DJs that what they do is they do a track and they bring some lady to sing. I can't even remember who the DJ that was famous was. It was a famous DJ that brought her to sing.
Mhm.
You know what? I don't want to do that. It's not nice. I don't want to.
No.
I could Google, but I don't want to. I'll
No,
stop
no, no,
there. I'll
no,
stop there. I don't want to. I've said too much, and I don't want to throw anybody under the bus. But it was, in my opinion, a David Guetta collaboration.
Yep. Yep.
In any case, how did we get to all of this?
I don't remember. I can't even track this one back. It was wild. We have a $20 not a super chat. We have a $20 Rumble rant, excuse me, over on Rumble from BPST for $20. Says, was it Stacy Q? This is for Nick banning you on Toxic Tuesday.
What is it?
You can see it. It's right there.
Hold on one second. Let me see. Was it Stacy Q? This is for Nick banning you on Toxic Tuesday. I don't think it was Stacy Q. It was. As we were talking, I was actually trying to Google if I could at least find the DJ if it was David Guetta and dance song. This is so annoying. It was a female singer. I thought that maybe they're singing. I shouldn't say it. Fuck it. I thought that they were singing something
Sorry,
about the
Sean.
weekend.
Sorry, Sean.
Sorry, Sean. Something about the weekend. I don't remember what the weekend was. I don't even know if it was David Guetta. But like, something either they're waiting for the weekend or something about the weekend. That's all. That's all I got for you. But never heard about that lady again. But you know what? I do have. I'll give you a different story. I don't know why I'm giving you stories now. Who cares? It's the middle of the night. Probably nobody wants to hear this, but I'll give it anyways. So there was a
check the room for Melvin Deeply first.
Melvin is probably here, like getting anything. Istophobos says Kelly Rowland or Flo Rida. Now, I probably shouldn't say this. At some point, I was involved in events that separately, not in the same event, with Kelly Rowland and with Flo Rida. But what I'll say is that that's not the one that I was referring to. Those are actually more established artists. Kelly Rowland was in Destiny's Child, and then her solo career is not as successful, but she's still more high profile. She's not just some lady that sang like on a David Guetta track. She actually, she's has her own, career. Flo Rida has actually sold and his songs for several years were very popular. So there were years that you turn on the radio and every year there'd be a number of Flo Rida hits. It's like he's sort of, had a streak of a lot of hits. So no, it's not Flo Rida either. That guy, both of these people are people with actually more established careers. I'm talking about somebody who was like on one track that maybe like she'd develop a career and maybe she wouldn't. And I feel like after that whole thing, not just because of Me in the Hotel, I just feel if that was her attitude, it doesn't surprise me that we didn't hear much about her later. Sia was a big name back then. Maybe she was, but I don't know. That wasn't her, and I haven't worked with Sia. I've never been involved in anything that had to do with her. What I will say is, and this is just a funny story, that recently I saw some article that the artist MIA was like whining about how she didn't succeed and like blaming people and blaming this and blaming that. And the thing that's funny is that I remember many years ago, a client of mine called me and they're like, "Hey, can you get like MIA? Can you get that like that artist for some event we're doing?" And then like I listened to her track. Have you ever heard MIA, Professor?
No, I don't believe I have.
It is the worst song I've ever heard. It's so awful, that song. It sounds like a 3-year-old person with don't want to say mental issues singing. That's what that song sounds like to me. It's an awful song. And like they're like, "Oh, that's her hit song." And I heard it. It was like something about something like planes. Is it called Planes? MIA Planes or something like that. There's like a noise that sounds like somebody's loading a gun. Maybe that's why the song became famous. But really, I listened to the song and it was the worst song I'd ever heard. And I'm also like, back in the day, sort of a musician. And it was a rare occasion that I called, the client up and I said, "Listen, this is awful." And they're like, "It's popular. Some people like it now." I said, "This is the worst song I've ever heard." I said, like, "It is terrible. This lady is annoying. I wouldn't pay like $1 for her." And I'm the one doing the deal. Like I torpedoed my own deal because of how annoyed I was with the track. And the thing is that I complained so much that they actually ended up not wanting her. They're like, "You know what? Fuck it. Like, well, sorry, Professor. Sorry, Sean." They're like, "Fine, we'll take somebody else. Like, we won't bring her here." So
Oh
in
Lord, I
the
just
article,
played
she
like
could
5 seconds of an MIA song. It was terrible. Paper Planes.
Paper Planes, that's what it was. That was her big
Oh,
hit. And I pressed play and I heard Paper Planes and I said, "This is the most awful thing." I gave like a sincere response. Like sometimes you have to be diplomatic and you're just like, "Oh, it's great. Of course I'll make the call." Because you're working and sometimes you're working at a company. Nobody's asking you for your opinion. This is the one case where like it broke me. I heard this song and I'm like, "This is the worst thing I've ever heard." And I think I just said, "Man, this is the worst thing I ever heard." And they're like, "Oh, you don't like it?" I'm like,
yeah.
"Like it. This is awful. This is like you couldn't pay me to listen to it."
Yeah,
Like, okay.
I jumped to the most replayed section of the song, and yeah, it has gunshots
That was the thing.
that
That
are
was the
ringing
thing. It
out at
had
the same time as the bell on a cash register is going off. I guess
that was
that
the
was the
song.
hook, right?
So yeah, it wasn't Kimbra. Kimbra was on Gautier's track for everything. You used to know, girl, I used to know, or whatever it is. This was something like Dancing in the Weekend, Waiting for the Weekend, or something about weekends. With like there was a known DJ, he did the song and he added somebody with the weekend. Getting ready for the weekend. Something. It's probably not that, but I just remember some lady singing something like that. It was again. If I sang that song, I wouldn't go and start cursing out like people that paid me money. Let me put it this way. Like I'd be very, very humble if I somehow anybody wanted me to pay me money to sing that song.
I'm seeing one song that has something to do with the weekend. I don't want to wait, but it's with One Republic.
No, it's not One
Yeah, it's
Republic.
not
I'm
that
talking about like I'm talking about like a lady that's singing.
Yeah, I was gonna say
Dance
that's
song.
yeah.
Wait, can't wait for the weekend to be. No, it's not that one.
Yeah.
Waiting for the weekend. I'm probably an idiot. It's probably not like Waiting for the Weekend, but that I can't think of anything else.
Well, everybody's working for the weekend. We know that much.
Maybe it'll come back to me. I'll try to research what it was.
Yeah.
But
You can
yes.
report back next week with
So I will say
continue
that
the
whoever
anecdote at a later date.
so that article that MIA was saying that like she's like it's because Jay-Z, like because of him I lost my career. I honestly don't think it's because of him, because at least one date, I don't know if it would have materialized. You never know if it's going to become a deal, but I know that somebody actually was interested in booking her, and I inadvertently probably steered them in another direction. You know what I'm saying? Like at least that one deal, I'll take responsibility for. Can't take responsibility for her whole career.
Price of Reason destroying careers left and right.
Again, it wasn't. If that song was good, she would have had like more to do with her career.
Oh no, absolutely. I think the cream rises to the top. If you're really good and you're really talented, it's gonna get noticed.
Sometimes what happens is that you have a song that may not be that great, but maybe it captures a moment in pop culture, and you somehow can make a few dollars off of it. I think that MIA was on the high end of that. You know, it's a song that's hers. It's her song. It did well, but there's nothing more she had to offer. She wasn't like a good singer. She didn't really do anything good. It was totally a gimmick song. There was, years ago, there was some kind of rapper that I booked for a few events or something, and he had a song about like drinking champagne. That most of those songs are like that. Something about champagne. It was something that it was so kind of generic. You heard it in some clubs. It sort of came and went. I don't think that there's like longevity. I don't think that that's a career that you can really build on long term. Sometimes you just have that. In the 80s, when you had like a one-hit wonder, you could probably be set, and make pretty decent money. But these days, in the past 10, 20 years, if you had like a hit song on the radio, it doesn't mean that you're set up for life anymore. It's not what it used to be. If anything, like you hope that while you could tour, while you could do dates and collect money, if you could at that time collect the money and you made as much as you could, that would be a good game plan. And from my experience, a lot of the times these kind of one-hit wonders, you could tell that they didn't realize that they have a very limited amount of time. Their behavior was like, we're on top of the world. It's almost like Lord of the Rings. You know how when Frodo puts on the ring?
Mm-hmm.
They were like Frodo with a ring on. It's like at that moment that they're on the radio and everybody's telling them how great they are. But I'm looking at it and I'm thinking to myself, you don't really have like a catalog of songs. And like, I could tell it was like a gimmick situation. I'm thinking to myself, I don't know if you're going to have another song. Nothing personal, but I'm saying to you, Professor, like, I would think, I don't know if this guy's ever going to have another song ever. So, the smart thing to do would probably be to save a lot of the money up. If you're for 1 year kind of hot and a lot of places are, interested in booking you, they're not paying Beyonce money or Taylor Swift money for you. But if you're smart, you put it aside and you collect it and you like create something. But trust me when I tell you, these type of artists, they're not going to put aside anything. They are sitting around the clubs, like racking up bills, like spending money on crazy crap. There's usually like entourages of people that, grew up with them in their neighborhood or something like that. I've seen such crazy things. And I'm thinking to myself that, there's going to be a moment that they're going to look back at this and really regret it.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't know how we got to all this. Sorry, guys. I hope I didn't go off too much with it. People in this chat probably are wondering, like, what the heck is this
Trump,
guy talking about?
USAID,
Yes, USAID,
yeah,
USAID.
and then we ended up on that. Yeah, so that's fine.
Right, but I think that the idea is the back to our conversations is that you have to. Oh, I know, we got there from Rob because I said that in the contracts you're not allowed to say bad things.
That
The
was
question
it.
is what contract he had, because if they were paying him money and in the contract it said he's not allowed to say negative things about them, he could get in trouble. That's all I'm saying.
Yep.
Whether they want to pursue it or not, I don't know, but you always have to be careful with that kind of stuff. Anyhow, what was the final thing? I think Gamergate, and maybe that's a good way to kind of, the final topic that we're sort of, talking about is that today, I think with all this kind of USAID and all that stuff and all the media, people were thinking that maybe Politico and other places were they were the kind of people that were reporting negative things about Gamergate. And one has to wonder how this all kind of ties together now.
Yeah, there's been a lot of stuff that's been uncovered about how they were helping to fund various different efforts. I'm trying to find some of the stories so we could go over them here. Let's see. Well, here's one at that Park Place, because it does kind of link back to some of what we were talking about earlier.
Perfect. You can share it.
Give me a second. Oh. All right. Oh, no, don't do this. It's doing the thing where it just...
It's not sharing?
When it's not sharing. Let me try one more time. Curses. All right. I will hop out. I'll be right back.
Okay. Professor is going to be hopping out. And now I guess he's going to be hopping back in. I think, though, only if you actually leave the room. But let's see if it works. Oh, it worked.
There we go. Just reloaded. And
awesome.
Yeah. So story on that Park Place. Politico taking $8 million in USAID taxpayer money. Of course, I think we found out that it's more than that. This is while they were pushing a lot of the anti-gamer narrative and attacking a variety of different people over the sort of Gamergate scandal, or whatever you might call it. This is kind of disturbing. Yeah, that they were using essentially government money paid out to Politico, and Politico was doing hit pieces on a variety of different people in the gamer community over harassment, disinformation, whatever. So this was some of the story earlier. Funding bombshell was highlighted by ex-user and Arseldane, who pointed out that Politico has published multiple articles related to Gamergate, consistently framing it as a disinformation and harassment campaign while pushing narratives about diversity in gaming. And so if you look for, Politico, it's saying there's 22 different articles there. This was an article that was posted, or a post that was made on X, saying people have wondered if our dollars were used to promote wokeness in video games, and the answer is yes. They were paying Politico millions a year to write pieces like this one, and specifically talking about ones that were promoting diversity and digging into people like Mark Kern and others as well as part of this. So this is there's a video in here talking about it. We can watch that.
Okay.
It'll load here. Oh, hold on.
I can't hear anything. Professor?
Yeah.
Did you press play?
Oh, sorry. I was watching it on another. It popped into a different tab. Hold on.
Oh.
There we go. Sorry.
Okay.
It popped into a different tab and
No
started
worries,
playing.
no worries. I just
Yeah.
was wondering. I'm like,
My
well,
fault.
So upon coming out here to the briefing room, I was made aware of the funding from USAID to media outlets, including Politico, who I know has a seat in this room. And I can confirm that the more than 8 million taxpayer dollars that have gone to essentially subsidizing subscriptions to Politico on the American taxpayers' dime will no longer be happening. The Doge team is working on canceling those payments now. Again, this is a whole of government effort to ensure that we are going line by line when it comes to the federal government's books. And this president and his team are making decisions across the board on, do these receipts serve the interests of the American people? Is this a good use of the American taxpayers' money? If it is not, that funding will no longer be sent abroad, and American taxpayers will see significant savings because of that effort. So upon...
All right. So yeah, sorry about that. But yeah, that was the video there showing an absolutely amazing press secretary, by the way. I really like her. She's got some real spunk, and she's always, because she got a little smile there, but she she's got a sharp wit on her on when she's out there talking too. So yeah, I like her in this role a lot. I've watched a few conferences with her already. So yeah. So yeah, it's just another effort, has been led by Doge to try and uncover a lot of these expenditures. I know that a number of them were for people to have Politico Pro accounts. Do you know what that costs?
Isn't that like it costs like $12,000 a person or something crazy like that?
I have no idea.
It costs something astronomical. Like I don't know who would want
Pro plans. It looks like there's a few different ones. They cost so much that they don't list it on the website. You go and chat with somebody about how much it costs. Apparently. So yeah, it's got to be wildly expensive, right? It's got all sorts of additional stuff that they share with you, and analysis, visualizations, analysis of legislation, all sorts of stuff. So yeah, these are wildly expensive things that they were spending, and just handing them out willy-nilly to everybody. So essentially they could kick back money to to a reporting agency, to a journalistic agency. That's wild. Yeah. It says Istavovo says it was automatic. They didn't even ask. People didn't have to ask for the subscriptions or anything. They just bought a whole bunch of them and just gave them out to everybody. And so yeah, that's wild. And apparently they're finding even more now, outside of just this one original group of payments that they found. Yeah, it's wild. Yeah. But I just keep hearing more stuff. I can't. It's like I wake up the next day, I'm like, what are we gonna learn today? What's gonna happen? What's gonna happen now? There's just so much new stuff being uncovered every single day. And honestly, it's partly it's really, really surprising that some of these organizations were able to get away with as much as they have at this point. But at the same time, I guess it's not really all that surprising when you think about how very deep the deep state goes, right? These are a bunch of people, lifelong bureaucrats just covering each other's asses, making sure that they were able to keep their jobs, funneling money to other people so they could keep their jobs, funneling money to causes that they cared about, to organizations they cared about, and not giving, two shits. Sorry, Sean, uh, about the fact that was not their money to spend. This is
Yeah, I mean
taxpayer money.
that's the biggest problem here. It's one thing if you have like some PAC and you took donations and you decided to do all this weird crap with it. At least it's money that you raised for yourself. But to take the taxpayers' money and then to do all this weird crap with it, that's where it becomes an issue. And the fact that the abuse was seemingly so widespread, it's really hard to ignore what was going on there. And for me, really, what sealed it, I told you, even like if I didn't actually dig deeper to try to find out anything, the second I saw like Elon Omar standing outside that building and like a podium, and she's like, "Nyeh, nyeh, nyeh," I'm like, okay, well, this must be something good that's happening. Like when I see Elon Omar like really sad outside some building, like in front of a podium, I know that that's something. It probably means that something good is happening.
Yeah, and we also know here's another one. USAID funded a television show for Disney to be created for Nat Geo. It was a kids show called Team Sayari,
What did they do on it? Discover that
funded to the tune of
the
$6
hate the
million.
colonizers, the Western colonizers.
I'm
What was
sure
the show
something.
about?
Jumbo, Team Sayari! Hey there, Trailblazers! Team Sayari is back.
Mission time!
Join us on more African adventures as we journey to the corners of our continent to learn more about our beautiful planet.
Cheetahs are the coolest. Did you see how fast they can run?
Travel through Africa.
Oh, I can't take anymore. That's.
I mean, listen, I don't care if they have their own money and that's a movie and that's a show they want to do. That's one thing, but why do they need taxpayers' money for that show?
Couldn't tell you. The answer is they got the money because they could. Somebody made sure that money got sent to somebody, probably to make sure that their cousin or brother-in-law or something had a job making the show or whatever, right? Yeah.
Jeanette is saying, what could that do for battered women's shelters? Yes, I mean, I think the part that's really annoying here is that there's certainly a lot of things that you could take money and try to do things that are positive beyond the fact that they're taking taxpayers' money and they shouldn't. But I'm saying, let's say you took it and there's really positive things you're doing. Maybe somebody could be more understanding. But some of the random stuff that they've taken millions and millions, and it all really adds up to so much nonsense. I mean, it's hard to ignore what's going on here. And Jeanette also says, don't worry, Professor. It'll all be reckoned in the end. They just think they're getting away with it.
Yeah.
Joshua Calkins is here. It's nice to see you, Joshua Calkins. Gave you a shout on the previous stream, too. Argentum says it was an environmental thing. Maybe that show was some kind of...
I'm sure it was.
I mean, it's certainly... I don't think I was the target audience for it, and honestly, I don't care. If Disney have money and they want to spend that on that, that's up to them. But to take taxpayers' money for it, that's a whole different story. I also don't really understand Sesame Street in Iraq or something like that. What did?
Yeah, they funded to the tune
Professor?
of $20 million. Can you hear me? Hello. Uh-oh. Who dropped? Oh no, price dropped. Yeah. So as he was saying, there was a show, basically Sesame Street in Iraq, that was funded to the tune of $20 million. So
do you know that I disappeared and came back?
Yes, yeah.
But unfortunately, it wiped out all the...
Momentarily you said Professor, and I was like, wait, am I muted or something? And then you just disappeared. So
Istophobos
it was on his end.
Istophobos gave well, first of all, I think that I missed something from the Dead Man. The Dead Man wrote I don't want to wait forever this life to be over.
I don't want to wait.
Oh, it's a
for this
song. It's a song. No, it wasn't her. It wasn't her.
No.
No, it was. I just found a song and I thought it would be it, and I kind of quickly played it in the background. It didn't sound like her or didn't look like the lady that I booked. Istafobos for $2 said USAID funded 8% of the BBC. What the fuck? Oh, sorry, that's what he wrote. Sorry,
Yes,
Sean, but I
yeah.
was just reading it out.
Yeah.
Do you know something? I'd like to look into this at some point. You know that Bill Gates, for the longest time, kept on giving tons of money to the BBC. Now, what they did was,
Yeah, I'm not surprised.
they would say he's not really giving to the BBC. He's giving to the charity arm of the BBC. So he's donating to charity, but it's like they're all in the same building and it's somehow all connected. If he's giving like 20 million a year or whatever he does, he's giving to the BBC. Why is he giving them that money? What does he get out of it? You know what I mean? Like, what's he giving them that money for? And then later you'd see like, you know what the charity that it did, from what I remember, this is all, I haven't looked at this in a long time. You know what the charity was? The charity was that they go to all these like third world countries and try to like convince the people there of whatever it is that the BBC believe in, if you understand what I'm saying.
Mm-hmm.
Meaning like those kind of like all their kind of woke programming, whatever it is, they want to show it to like people in like rural places like in Africa or something. It's like, why do you want to show them that? They don't care about your stupid crap. Why is he paying them all this money, and why are they going there and doing all of this? Very strange. Like for a while he was a really big
very
donor,
weird.
and they're like, no, he's not really giving the BBC. It's the charity. I can look at that again. Back in the day, I actually did some research into it, and it was really surprising.
Yeah.
But it's surprising, but at the same time not surprising. At this point,
Mhm.
it's like, oh, of course he's giving them a lot of money. Maybe he gives money because then they don't write something bad about him, or I don't even know. I mean, have to wonder what the idea was. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know why they force people in the UK to pay for the BBC, and I don't know why they get so many donations. They always have the worst kind of, you'd think that they'd be something more neutral, but they're not neutral at all. Like they're so political, and they're so political in one direction, and it's so extreme.
Oh yeah, it really is. Yeah. It's hard to
yeah.
believe sometimes.
It is like you think, no, it can't be, and like it is. It's really happening. So, yeah, it is what it is. Let's look for a second.
Oh, and we also have a super sticker from our friend Six for $5. It's some colorful hippos.
Wow, that's like the nicest thing Six has ever.
water.
No,
Yeah.
actually, he gave $10 on our 100th episode, so that was actually
Yeah.
very, very nice. But I'm saying usually, the reason I'm surprised is usually we only get like poop things from her.
Poops. Yeah,
This is the first time that I saw these hippos, so like I'm very excited about it. And Istafobos says that means we funded Nishudigawa. We probably did fund him. But yeah, thank you for the super sticker hippo thing. Never seen a hippo one. That's the first time I ever saw it, and I didn't even know such a thing existed. And yeah, I think that. Well, I wanted to tell. I'll talk a little bit now because I know you have a bit of a sore throat, but
No, you're all right.
I'll just say that that I saw a really crappy movie today.
Oh no.
It's really, really crappy. It was a movie. I knew I wanted to watch this, not because I thought it would be good, because I knew that like it would annoy me and like it would give me a lot to think about. Like I knew it was crappy, and it was exactly the crap that I thought. It's a movie that Amy Schumer released.
Oh no. I've heard about this.
So Istafobos gave a super sticker 99 cents, and this thing is called. Let me see if I can find some image from it. It's.
This is kind of pregnant. Is this the movie you saw?
That is 100% the movie that I saw.
Oh boy.
Okay. I'm going to tell you guys about this Amy Schumer movie because I think you're really going to be interested in what I have to say. So, for starters, this is it. And man, this is such a stupid movie. Now, this I saw that I guess Adam Sandler was the producer of it. It's his company. And the thing is that Adam Sandler sometimes or throughout his career has had some movies that are really, really dumb. Okay. Even people that like Adam Sandler, I think, will admit that his movies are dumb. The only reason some of those movies, especially in the earlier days, work is he kind of found a little niche that he's sort of this man child. You know what I mean? It's almost like a child stuck in a grown man's body, and he acts like the most childish and stupid way. It's dumb movies, but it's sort of dumb fun, especially in the earlier ones, mainly because of his performance. It's an acquired taste. It's not for everybody, but he has a certain thing that he does, and that kind of man-child thing is at least mildly amusing when used correctly. I think that whatever that is, if they try to apply it here to Amy Schumer, it doesn't work. Amy Schumer does not have that kind of man-child thing that Adam Sandler just does, which again, you may not like it, but he's sold a lot of movie tickets doing it. It's like he had a whole career of movies that you just go, he's going to do his Adam Sandler thing, and he had enough people that just, were okay with that. But thinking of a stupid premise and putting Amy Schumer in it, I don't think that she brings that kind of not even as an acquired taste. I don't really know what she brings to the table. So what this movie is about, and this is so stupid. It's just so stupid. This movie is that she basically is single and her friend got pregnant, and then at some store she kind of as a joke puts up on this thing that like makes you look like you're pregnant even though you're not, and the second that she puts it on, everybody's super nice to her. So she comes to the conclusion that she needs a thing like this, and if she walks around and pretends to be pregnant, everybody will want to be her friend or something stupid like that. So she makes friends with this little girl who she ends up kind of like falling in love with her brother or whatever it is, and the girl is also pregnant, and it's a whole long story that's not even worth me telling. But what I'll say is that the thing that annoyed me most about this movie is that. And I know I was thinking about it like while watching it, that this is like quote unquote the elephant in the room. And as I was thinking that, I was laughing because it's quite literally the elephant in the room. Basically, what I'm trying to say is that Amy Schumer herself is kind of on the plump side. I don't really know how to say it. Do I say plus side? I don't know what to say that's considered like the politically correct way to say it. I'm going to say something else also. I think that if I lost like 10 to 20 pounds, I'd be very happy. But if somebody gave me millions of dollars and said, hey, we're going to do something where you're going to be a romantic interest in this movie, I personally don't think that's a good idea to give me that money and to put me in that movie. But if already somebody for some reason wanted to do that, I would do everything I could to lose weight. You know what I'm saying? Like, if you're going to pay me millions of dollars to star in a movie where like I'm supposed to somehow be romantic or something like that, even me losing all that weight may not move the needle, but at least like at minimum, I do everything. For the millions of dollars, I'd be in the gym every day losing that weight. You know what I mean? In her case, she basically didn't do that. She is, more plus size than she's ever been. Mm-hmm. And the thing is that she doesn't even need to put this fake stomach to look like she's pregnant. She could have actually, I think the movie would have been funnier if she just walked around and people are like, oh, are you pregnant? And then she's like, oh, yes, I am. And the only reason they ask is because she kind of gained a lot of weight. You know what I mean? If it was like a Chris Farley back in the day or one of those kind of, John Candy, they would have leaned into whatever joke was going on. I think that here, the movie is really strange in the sense it's like there's an obvious joke here. At least embrace it. Embrace the joke. Make it so that, like, if they would have started the first 30 minutes, let's say, that she's, really self-conscious about her gaining weight and she has certain things going on in her life. And at the end, she kind of takes this spin as if she's pregnant. And then, that becomes the joke. Maybe there was something you could have done with it. But the fact that, like, they're making it seem like she wasn't plump. Do you get what I'm saying? Only when she puts the fake stomach, do you think she was pregnant. But if I showed her before to you, you'd ask me if she was pregnant.
Yeah.
And I know, I'm sorry. Some people are probably listening and thinking to themselves, this man is a terrible, terrible, terrible person. How could he say such things? But again, I said it about myself as well. I'm not saying I am an average person. I could easily, if I lost 10 to 20 pounds now, I'd be really happy. Like, that's what I should do. Sometimes you don't have like the exact incentive to do it. A few $1,000,000 though would be the incentive. You give me a check for a few $1,000,000,
Oh, hell yeah.
I guarantee you, professor, tomorrow. Plus, once you have that kind of money, you have like a chef coming in and doing like healthy stuff for you. You have like a trainer and stuff. You know, just get with a program. It's worth millions of dollars. Like, what are you not going to make the effort? And
Oh,
that
yeah. You give me a few million dollars, I'm gonna be ripped. It's gonna happen. I'll make it happen.
And then I guess Jeanette said, if I had that money, I'd be able to have a personal training to work through my disabilities and lose weight. I have no patience for her. Exactly. It's like she's not just a person. That's her career. My career is not to be in like a sort of a funny comedy that also it has a bit of romance in it. If that was my career, I would be working very, very hard. Even with all the weight, even if now like I lost weight and I got into shape, still don't know if I would cast myself as that romantic thing. I think that would be a very Professor, I think that would be a very strange movie. I don't know if it would be a movie that people would want to see either. I think people would be like, "What is this movie? Why was it made? Why did they pay this strange man to be in this movie?" All legitimate questions. But the one thing is, for millions of dollars, I would make the effort. That's all
Look,
I'm saying.
I think that people have been crying out for a movie about a knitted squid in a romance with somebody. I think that would be really really fascinating.
You know what? It would be better than this movie. It's the Phobos for a few million. All the men go on roids and work out 8 hours a day. So yeah, and the thing is that in this movie, she's supposed to be in New York City. The amount of coincidences that happen are beyond anything that's acceptable. Like, New York City is a big place. She goes, she runs into this like coffee shop. She meets a guy. Later, it turns out that the guy is like the brother of the lady that this other lady she met. And then like these people met this other friend of hers, and this other friend met this and met that. It's like, it doesn't work that way. You'd think that in New York City there were only 5 people because they keep running into each other. Now, I know that sometimes in a movie you have to suspend disbelief, but man, does this like, it takes advantage of your goodwill in a way that this like, come on, this is already really, really dumb. You know what I mean? Now, sometimes in Adam Sandler movies, a lot of dumb things happen, but then you have at least him acting really dumb and silly and like a little kid, and it's so idiotic that you kind of like don't care. But she's not that type of actress. You know what I mean? She's not giving you that type of like so idiotic and so man-child, whatever it is. And yeah, I mean, I don't know, I don't know how to say it in a nice way, but I think that years ago when she started her career, she was actually, she wasn't this, what am I trying to say here, Professor? She's more plus now than she was then.
Yes. Well, I will say that I did see a story about her recently. She has been diagnosed with a medical condition called Cushing's syndrome. But with treatment and exercise, that doesn't have to be something that's permanent. One of the things it leads to is that you have a sort of a puffy face, and your fat gets deposited in weird places. But if you actually have a healthy lifestyle and work out, you can fix it.
And then, okay, so then what happens and this is the part that really, like, really, I had a real issue suspending disbelief here. While she's wearing a fat suit to make her even fatter, so she'll look like she's 6 months pregnant, even though even without the fat suit, she kind of looks that. She wears the fat suit, and the brother guy of the friend that she met at the Lamaze Club, whatever what that stupid thing is, the yoga class for pregnant women, the brother meets her, and he like falls in love with her. And basically, he wants to like he thinks she's 5 months pregnant, and he's totally into her and all that stuff. Now the guy is like sort of like a thin, okay looking guy. I just don't buy it. I mean, usually, like, if you're like a thin, like, they're trying to say he doesn't have the best work. He's kind of, not in the best place. But even so, I don't think that guy would be looking for like a 6-month pregnant Amy Schumer and saying like, that's it, I'm head over heels. I really don't think that. I don't see it. I don't know. I don't know what to tell you. Like, uh, the movie. I was trying to think how the movie would have worked. So, for example, if you would have had, let's say, Jessica Alba, okay, Jessica Alba, like she looks. This is what I would do to make like if you wanted something that actually rings more true. She can't make friends because she's pretty. Think, I don't. First of all, she still looks great. From what I've seen recently, she still looks fantastic, Jessica Alba. Let's pretend though, like we're talking, 5-10 years ago. If you want to make a movie that maybe is the right time frame to do it, like of this age of what. Although Amy Schumer is older, so I don't know. You know what? Screw it. Take Jessica Alba now. Give her like a movie like this. What you would do is you would make it that she's pretty, and all the women are sort of jealous of her, so she can't make friends. So then she puts like a fat suit on because she's not fat. She puts a fat suit on and pretends she's pregnant. Suddenly everybody likes her. Nobody's jealous of her. And that's how she makes friends. That at least rings true to me. Do you get what I'm saying? Then if let's say there's a guy that's like, he's a decent, okay looking guy and he's like, sees her and he's totally into her and he doesn't care that she's pregnant. If she looks like Jessica Alba and she just has a little bit of a bump because she wore the thing, at least I can kind of understand it. You know what I'm saying? That to me makes more logical sense. The Amy Schumer, who's already on a plus size, wearing additional fat suits to make her even plumper, and then there's just some regular dude head over heels in love with her. I don't know, man. I don't know. The suspension of disbelief here. I mean, I've watched a lot of sci-fi and a lot of things that really required a lot of goodwill for me to really take those leaps. Can't do it. I just can't do it, Captain. I don't have the power. You know what I'm saying? Like it's just.
Oh no. Yeah, it's
too much for
not.
me. I don't.
Yeah. The stretch to feel like that's believable. It's just too much. Right? It's too.
There's also weird, there's another thing here. She's a teacher, and part of her, like the funny thing is that like she's saying all this inappropriate stuff about her, like, sex life, whatever, to these little kids. It doesn't really work, and it comes off as kind of weird and a bit creepy. One of the reasons is just she's not very funny, in my opinion. Like, there was a show a number of years ago, like Eastbound and Down, where you had Kenny Powers, and he's teaching school kids, and he's acting like the biggest jerk and saying the craziest things in front of them. Now, that show is for adults. It is bonkers off the wall, and you know that the second you sit down and watch it, you're going to be watching crazy things happen. And once you're in that mindset, even that crazy situation that he's like, acts like a jerk in school where he works, you kind of laugh it off because you understand the humor. At least it's funny. In the case of Amy Schumer, though, because it's not very funny, her talking about all this weird stuff with kids just comes off as weird. Do you get what I'm saying?
Absolutely, yeah.
So you have that thing, which is strange. This scene that you have here on the subway, sorry, on the right, there's like a mom and her daughter. And like, this is another weird thing. Once she sits and she sees the mom and the daughter is like, wow, you're glowing, you're pregnant. Like, and somehow, because the daughter sees her pregnant and she's like 15, she's like, I got to get pregnant now too. And then like the next scene you see her, like, you see her riding the subway again. She runs into the same mom and child, and the child is now pregnant because they got excited because Amy Schumer was pregnant. And it's somehow supposed to be like a funny joke. And it also comes off as like a weird, creepy joke. Like, I don't get the humor.
That's disturbing.
Right, I don't really even get it. And it's like, now she wants to be pregnant, and then the 15-year-old gets, like, that's the punchline is that the little girl got pregnant. And I'm like, that's the punchline? I don't understand the joke. You know what I mean? Again, I'm not saying I don't have thick skin. It's not like I get offended. I understand sort of what the joke was supposed to be. It's just not very funny. You know what I mean? Like, it's not funny, and Amy Schumer is not that kind of showwoman, or whatever you want to call that. She's like Adam Sandler. The stupidest thing happened around him, but he just goes like makes all these weird noises and faces, and you just look at him. he looks like he's mentally ill, and you just kind of chuckle. The same way that like you may have watched a Jim Carrey movie that didn't make a whole lot of sense, but he comes out making like the craziest faces and like movements and like doing all this crazy stuff, and you're basically watching like a clown. You know what I mean? Like, that's the way you feel like with Jim Carrey. That's the way you feel with like an Adam Sandler. Amy Schumer doesn't give me that vibe. She's like coming in here. Is it also like there's sort of a rom-com thing going on? There's like they're talking about relationships. It is a movie that fails miserably. It is a terrible, terrible movie. Even for its genre, even if it's a woman that's like, well, I like rom-coms and maybe I'll like this. No, this is crap, even as a rom-com, even as anything. So yeah.
Well, not something to maintain your Netflix subscription to watch.
No, I think
No.
this is a terrible, terrible movie. And
Oh.
I just wanted to share my thoughts about it in case
Yeah.
people were interested. So
Yeah, that sounds just dreadful, which, to be honest, is exactly what I thought it would be. So, yep.
yeah. So you should be happy that you didn't see it.
I did not spend my time on that. No.
And there's a lot of kind of they try to kind of gross out humor for women. I don't even know. It just didn't work for me. It was like, if you ever watch it, which I don't recommend it, you will not like this movie.
Yeah. It seems like that might be something that would fall in line with something her fans would enjoy. I mean, have you ever seen her stand-up comedy?
I haven't watched her more recent thing. I'll say that many years ago, I thought that maybe she was a bit better than she is today. There was a moment where she kind of, arrived on the scene, and there
Yes.
weren't a lot of women like doing stand up and stuff like that. I think that initially people just had like an okay opinion about her, in the sense that it's all right, but very quickly I don't know if the combination of her becoming like political, and also it turned out that like a lot of the jokes she was telling, according to legend, she was stealing from other people. Uh, then I guess she couldn't take from other people allegedly, and then she was kind of doing her own thing and it wasn't as good. People that did like her, it kind of went downhill. There was a moment in time, I don't know if you remember this, but originally they wanted to make the Barbie movie and she would be Barbie, which
Yeah.
is the craziest thing ever. The fact that like they ended up like
Insane.
getting rid of her and like it ended up like with Margot Robbie, that is the biggest upgrade. Even though it's a movie that I don't even like. I don't like Barbie. I think it's a crappy movie. But just objectively, like when I'm looking at it from a business perspective, the biggest upgrade I've ever seen in a movie is like the firing. I'm sorry, I know this is going to sound bad. The firing of Amy Schumer and the hiring of Margot Robbie is probably the biggest casting upgrade I've seen ever.
Oh, that's huge.
That is like the biggest,
Yeah, that's a huge one.
let me see for a second. Whitney Cummings, really not funny. You know what? Whitney Cummings, out of a lot of these, I don't completely hate her. I don't really sit around and like watch her thing. I think that once years ago there was like a special of hers on Netflix, and maybe like I had already gone through all the latest stand-up or whatever it was. I didn't know what this is, and I pressed on it. And I've seen some of their like female, stand-ups before. That was probably one of the better ones. I thought that she was relatively decent. Not saying that like, I haven't been flocking to her shows or anything, but I thought that relatively speaking, she wasn't the worst thing I'd seen. Make of that what you will.
Mm-hmm.
So it says, no, it wasn't her stand-up that was that's stolen. It was her show that was lifting bits and skits. Whatever.
Yes.
I guess she
Yeah.
had like a bad reputation of sorts.
Yeah, I see. I thought that originally, kind of when she first arrived on the scene, when she first started getting big, I felt like she was pretty funny. There was
Right.
some bits of her stand up that she did that I thought was really amusing. She had some good jokes. I feel like when she got big, she quit trying,
I agree.
and so she completely lost any real edge that she had. All her jokes were just about her period or her vagina or whatever.
That's
That
what
was
this
it.
movie was like,
That
by
was
the
it.
way. Yeah.
That's all that she had left of her material. Yeah, I've got a saggy vagina or whatever it is she was going to talk about.
That's what I feel
And it
like.
was
What you
so
just said,
boring. It
that's
was
what this
so
movie felt
boring.
like to me, by the way.
It was bad. So yeah, I felt like some early on, like some of her stuff felt like it was pretty funny, but real quickly it just got old and stale. And maybe she did too. I don't know.
Maybe. Istophobos, I don't know if I noticed before, gave a poop sticker for 99 cents. Thank you, Istophobos. And Six
Yes.
gave, I don't even know how to describe this. I'm not sure what I'm looking
I
at.
think it's a city skyline. I think is what
City
that
Skyline for
sticker is. Yeah.
$1.49. Thank you, Six. It's very kind of you.
Yeah.
I wish it looked more like a city, but yes, it's very nice. Is it supposed to be New York City? Because I don't know, but nevertheless, thank you. Very nice,
Don't
very kind of you.
know.
And yeah, I guess we went over a lot of cool stuff,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
I today talked about a lot of weird things. Hopefully,
Well, here but before we do our recognition of people, we'll close on one final good note here.
okay.
Let's be real. Everyone's going to be a hot mess after the big game. Been there, done that. And I've got just what you need to cure that post-party bug. The Carl's Jr. Hangover Burger. Egg, double bacon, yeah, you need that double bacon. Charbroiled beef, hash browns, cheese, and sauce. Just the way I like it. And guess what? It's free the day after the big game. You just have to download the Carl's Jr. app and sign up for my rewards. So get your free hangover burger on Monday, February 10th. He'll definitely need one. Let's be real.
It's a great commercial.
Yeah, it's
I-
great.
I do-
That's advertising that's going to bring people to your restaurant. You know what I mean?
Wait a second. Captain Palsy gave a 99-cent poop sticker. So
Oh, thank you,
Captain
Palsy.
Palsy, very kind of you.
Thank you for the
'Cause
poopy.
We are big enthusiasts of poop here at the Night Owl. I do have one other tidbit that just a little, like you just showed, like a little anecdote.
Not
There's-
not like Germans are enthusiasts of poop. Let's make sure we frame this properly.
I agree. So basically, I just posted something the other day, and surprisingly, it actually got more engagement than I thought. It already has like it has pretty decent engagement on Twitter, I guess. I don't know if you saw this. Let me see if I can share it. So I just posted this thing that I wrote. Did you know these 2025 pics prove that Ion Grufford, or whatever his name is still better casting for Reed Richards than Pedro Pascal in Fantastic Four, even today. These are pictures from lately of both of them.
Yeah,
And
no
man,
doubt.
I actually think that Grufford guy is fine.
Yeah, he would still make a really good yeah.
I mean, I know you're going to think this is crazy.
Almost
but
said Richard Impossible. I've been watching the Venture Brothers with my son, and that's the version of Mr. Yeah, that's the
understand.
version of the Fantastic Four that they have in there.
I
He's got a
see.
different name.
What I would have done is, and when I saw how he looks now, I looked at them. First of all, forget about the fact that Chris Evans is Captain America and all that. Because of all the multi-universe stuff, they could have easily just brought these guys back. This guy is about the same age as Pedro Pascal. So they didn't really, it's not like they brought a young guy, you know what I mean? Like,
Oh, yeah.
it's if it was this guy or that guy, just bring back the real guy. I thought he was fine. The cast of those Fantastic Four movies, I don't think the cast was bad. I think that the scripts could have been better, but I don't think that the cast was wrong. If you had, let's say, this guy, Jessica Alba still looks really good today. From what I've seen recently, I looked at her and she still looks great. You have, Chris Evans. He was Johnny Storm in that Deadpool and Wolverine. Can totally do it if he needed to. He still looks like Chris Evans, and Michael Chiklis, you could use CGI today and just use his voice. So even if he's a bit older, you could have still taken his voice and done the thing with him. And I think his voice was fine for the thing. So you could have done like one movie where they're sort of, in universe or anything. You know what I mean? Like that I'm not saying I was itching for it, but I actually probably would have been happier with that than these guys that they brought in, especially with Pedro Pascal. Pedro Pascal really ruins it for me.
The whole cast is
The whole cast
is a
doesn't work.
mess. It
Maybe
doesn't
I'll be
work.
wrong.
There's no doesn't feel like there's any chemistry there. It doesn't feel like the casting really clicks for any of the characters. Now, all we've gotten to see is like a 90-second spot. We'll have to see some more later. But yeah, it definitely he sticks out like a sore thumb.
Totally.
Pedro Pascal just does not fit in that role. Doesn't work. Oh, still there with me, Bryce?
I am 100% with
Oh,
you.
okay. Yeah, sounded like dropped out. Okay.
No, I didn't drop out. I was looking at something. I just wanted to
Oh.
make sure we didn't miss anything on the Rumble side.
Yep.
But no, we didn't.
No,
I
think
see
we got everything over there.
I think we saw everything here. Yeah. So there was the BPST. Was it Stacy Q? This is for Nick banning you on Toxic Tuesday. That was already a while ago. Just wanted to make sure we saw it. Really, really excited about the audience. You know, we had such a great crowd today.
Yeah.
And
we're running some good numbers over on Rumble too tonight. 74 over there.
Absolutely. So I guess on that wonderful note, and this is our 101 show, I want to tell everybody how grateful I am, you know, that you all came out to hang out with us.
Yeah.
And yeah, I mean, I guess we should say thank you to some people. My thing got but we both, I think it crashed for us, right?
Yeah, I had to back out at one point. So, but I've still got the chats open for Rumble and YouTube. So I've got a little bit of a record here. So, let's see. We've got over on Rumble, we had Kivo 1961. Always showing up. Good to see you again, Kivo. Dubro Steph 420, another regular over there. We had a Racerhead. Folsom Lockdown, One Dirty Bird, BPST, and again with that $20 Rumble rant. Thank you so much for that. And we had Player One. So those were those that joined us in the chat over on Rumble. Although it says we've got upwards of 79 people over there in the audience. So even if you're just hanging out and listening, thanks for being here. We really appreciate it.
Totally.
Who else do we have here? Let's see. Tim Hayes, 6, joining us this evening and tossing us a few super stickers and so on this evening. Thank you for that, 6.
Greatly appreciated, yeah.
Joshua Calkins is to Phobos again with some super chats and some stickers. We appreciate your being here, Phobos. I still want to say I Lamb. Whalem 03. Let's see. The Big Ship again joining us this evening. Thanks for being here. Jeanette. Who else do I see not say? Void King, Stephen Mack. Argentum. Biona Rad, thanks for joining us tonight. Player One on Rumble. Yeah, I mentioned Player One. Let's see who else. Still scrolling. Captain Palsy. The Dead Man, as always. Again, thank you for being here. Let's see. Anybody else? I think I got just about everybody. Are there any there that I missed that you saw?
Let me quickly look.
There's your buddy. I have Nudic.
I have Nudic, Caleb Levine, Whalem 03, Tim Hayes, Jeanette Estephobos, Argentum, like you said, Joshua Calkins, The Big Ship. Jeanette, I think I said 6.
Robnut Skubla. I missed you.
Robnut Skubla.
Earlier. Yeah, thanks for joining us.
And Stephen Mack.
Yep.
Bayona Rad.
Yep.
So yeah, I think
we got
there's
everybody. Snortopupus Q Burrows here this evening. Good to see you.
Snortopupus Q, we're good to see you.
Good
yes.
to see you, Snortopupus.
Emperor Goodwin just sent something. So yeah.
Oh, just popped in. Hello there, Emperor Goodwin.
Yep. So Marla Sharondoff was here also. Is here,
Yeah.
I think. Great. Yeah, we did it. And I guess on
Yes.
that wonderful note,
Yeah.
we really went in a lot of different places in our conversation.
We went all over the place tonight, but that's all right.
I hope people were patient when I was talking about the weird singer lady in Vegas. People are probably like, what is he talking about?
Yeah, you're gonna figure that out, and we're gonna know. We're gonna find out who that
We're
was.
gonna find out who it was. I can't remember her name. Maybe it's best that way. I revealed that I said that AMIA's song was terrible. It was terrible. It was terrible.
Oh, hey, I listened to it while we were doing the show. It was awful.
That's what I said. That was my response, and that, like, it was such a harsh response that, like, whoever was thinking of doing something just steered away from it. So it wasn't my goal. It's just like it came out like naturally. That just was my real opinion. But some people may like that song. People like things, and I don't have to like what everybody likes. Usually, people tell me that I don't like what most people like. So, I don't know.
So it is We I Lamb 03? Or is it the other way? Is it the way Price is saying it?
Whalem 03.
He says he pronounced my name correctly.
Whalem 03.
Okay.
That's how I pronounce it. I don't know. I've
That's
been
what
doing it
that's
for a
what you
long
said.
time. Whalem 03. That's how I call him. I hope I know what I'm doing. It's been so many times. Like, now, if it turns out that I was wrong, I'll feel really bad. But I want to wish everybody a great evening.
Whalem. Yeah, he says Whalem.
Whalem.
Okay.
Yeah, that's
All right.
okay.
Hey, but that's great. Yeah,
I
we'll
did
make sure
good.
and say your name the right way. Yeah.
So, your name always made me think of Scott Weiland. Yeah. But I think that in his case, it's Whalem, and then I think in Weiland, it was Scott Weiland. But yeah.
Mhm. For
I'm
some
not-
reason, when I saw it the first time, it reminded me of Will I Am. And so that's the way I wanted to pronounce it.
Scott Weiland was a great singer, but unfortunately, he had a lot of issues. Anyhow, what was I going to say? So I guess this is it.
Yeah, I think that's all we got for tonight.
Well, that's all we got.
Thanks for coming and joining us, everybody.
Bye,
We
everybody.
appreciate you showing up. Have a good one.
Bye.
Bye.
Let's see if it actually